Chapter 2345. Benefactor Xiao, how have you been? When Yuanzhen saw Xiao Chun, he smiled faintly, showing a relaxed expression. There was an indescribable Buddha nature on him. It was neither good nor evil, and it was extremely strange. Xiao Chun had just heard the others call him the revered one of the world. This was an incredible title. It was rumored that the first ancestor of Buddhism was born. He pointed to the heavens and drew the earth, saying that he was the only supreme being in the world. This simple form of address showed Yuanzhen's ambition. Xiao Chun asked softly, "Should I call you Yuanzhen or the Kitigarbha Bodhisattva?" Yuanzhen pressed his palms together and smiled benevolently. "Benefactor Xiao, it is better to address me as Yuanzhen. I prefer you to call me Yuanzhen, but in your eyes, it's all the same no matter what you call me." Xiao Chun narrowed his eyes slightly. He found Yuanzhen somewhat unfathomable. Looking up, at the back of the Heavenly Strength Hall, in the depths of the myriad of overlapping auspicious signs, the Kitigarbha Bodhisattva's transcendence golden body was hidden within. Its face was benevolent, and its heart was filled with compassion. Suddenly Xiao Chun understood. So that's how it was. The Kitigarbha Bodhisattva had already merged with Yuanzhen. However, the Kitigarbha Bodhisattva existed in Yuanzhen's form. The two had not truly merged yet. Hence Yuanzhen's consciousness remained. He was right. The one standing before Xiao Chun was indeed Yuanzhen, and not the Kitigarbha Bodhisattva. Xiao Chun said softly, "If you had a choice, would you still bear the Kitigarbha Bodhisattva's karma? According to his plan, when the Buddhist epic is established, your memories of Yuanzhen will disappear." Yuanzhen's expression changed slightly. Unexpectedly, Xiao Chun saw through his relationship with the Kitigarbha Bodhisattva. When the Buddhist epoch arrived, the Kitigarbha Bodhisattva would truly awaken. At that time, the dominant position would change. Yuanzhen withdrew his smile. After some thought, he said, "Most of the time there is actually no choice." Maybe. Xiao Chun didn't refute the other party. From his point of view, he could choose at any time. But he also understood that the others had no choice. "There seem to be many hidden spirit temple esteemed monks in your Buddhist nation?" Xiao Chun changed the topic and asked casually. Yuanzhen smiled and said, "You have pretty good eyes." Indeed, after the Kasyapa Buddha's golden body was destroyed, the Kasyapa Buddha's body was destroyed. Many martial uncles abandoned the darkness for the light and joined me in creating a new Buddhism. But even if you want to create a new Buddhist school, there's no need for you to make a move against these commoners, no? Xiao Chun pointed at the believers kneeling at the foot of the 10,000 steps. Yuanzhen argued, "What's wrong? Didn't you see the smiles on their faces? In my Buddhist kingdom, you only need to worship devoutly every day, and you won't have to worry about food or clothing. What's so bad about that? Right now, the Yenwu dynasty is hell on earth, filled with the flames of war. I am doing good deeds to accumulate virtue. If you want to argue, I won't argue with you." Yuanzhen's expression slowly turned serious. He said seriously, "Xiao Chun, what if I told you that the Kasyapa Buddha used this method to establish the Buddhist sect back then? Would you believe me?" The epoch changed, and chaos arose everywhere. Extraordinary times naturally required extraordinary methods. If I did not use such methods, how could I establish the Buddhist kingdom in such a short time? I know you want to say that these believers do not have any thoughts or intelligence, like the walking dead. However, this has always been the case in this world. The strong can be merciful. When the Buddhist epoch starts, the Kitigarbha Bodhisattva will return the power of faith, and there will be no need to do this. Xiao Chun felt slightly stunned. Then he thought of the 3 black mountains behind Spirit Vulture Mountain. The boundless demonic domain filled with sin. Yuanzhen's words should be true. However, so what? Hence, Xiao Chun did not feel any pity for the hidden spirit temple's destruction. A temple built on boundless sin should not have a reason to exist, no matter how glorious it was. You're on your own. You should understand that these words of self-consolation can only deceive yourself. Xiao Chun felt very uncomfortable staying here. After investigating Yuanzhen and the Kitigarbha Bodhisattva's situation, Xiao Chun did not want to linger, so he turned and left. "Did I say you could leave?" Yuanzhen snorted coldly and sent a palm strike at Xiao Chun. The entire Buddhist kingdom's 90,000 arhats, 8,000 vajras, and 300 bodhisattvas all chanted scriptures at the same time. This caused countless ancient Buddhist sect scriptures to surround Yuan Zhen's palm strike. The entire divine kingdom started circulating in his palm. Xiao Qin's expression did not change. He turned around and sent a palm strike in retaliation. Boom! The instant the two palms clashed, the vast and boundless Buddhist kingdom shook intensely. Images of countless ancient arhats and bodhisattvas appeared in the sky amid thousands of auspicious signs. The Tao of life and death cycled endlessly around Xiao Qin, producing an unending stream of reincarnation power. Xiao Qin resisted the pressure of the entire Buddhist kingdom by himself. Saber! Xiao Qin shouted, and an eternal, inextinguishable saber light that surpassed the epic shot out from his body. The saber light soared into the clouds and tore a crack in the Buddhist kingdom's barrier in the sky. Yuan Zhen showed shock on his face as he got knocked back. Then he watched helplessly as Xiao Qin soared into the air and left the divine kingdom before the crack mended. World Venerate! Right after Xiao Qin left, many Buddhist sect sovereign emperors appeared in the surroundings with grave expressions. World Venerate! Why did you not bring out the golden Buddha body and directly suppress him? With Xiao Qin dead, we will have one less strong enemy. Yuan Zhen said indifferently, I feel that he is not as simple as a nine-veined sovereign emperor. The Kitagarbha Bodhisattva's golden body is not complete yet. We cannot take the risk. The two were testing each other, probing each other's limits. While Xiao Qin wanted to figure out Yuan Zhen and the Kitagarbha Bodhisattva's strength, Yuan Zhen thought the same. However, Yuan Zhen could not figure out the other party's strength with just one palm strike. After leaving the Buddhist kingdom, Xiao Qin hovered in the air and looked down at the Kitagarbha Bodhisattva's golden body. Yuan Zhen remained silent and observed for a long time, not leaving. He wanted to destroy this Buddhist kingdom in one go. However, he felt that there was no need in the end. The Buddhist kingdom was established because the epoch was about to end. Order collapsed and the natural laws no longer existed. It was like a dynasty on the verge of destruction. The emperor lost his suppression of the feudal lords. Outstanding talents fought each other, and chaos descended. This was not a problem that could be solved by killing one or two feudal lords. The current situation was even more complicated and terrifying than that. The Holy Lord, who controlled the entire epoch, had already lost control of the various factions. The righteous Tao was no longer righteous, and the demonic Tao was even more demonic. The entire world was on the verge of collapse, on the verge of collapse. Xiao Qin withdrew his gaze and stood up to leave. Not long later, Xiao Qin sensed two figures rapidly approaching him. Big brother. It was the little monk Yen Qin, and the heavenly book scholar. Xiao Qin asked in confusion, Why are the two of you here? Let's leave this place first. This is the evil Buddha's territory. Even foe gods do not dare to barge in. The heavenly book scholar looked at the Buddhist kingdom fearfully. After a while, Xiao Qin understood that Yen Qin and the heavenly book scholar sensed a battle in the Buddhist kingdom. They came to check and discovered that it was Xiao Qin, so they rushed over. Whoosh! Far away from Yuan Zhen's Buddhist kingdom, the three landed. When Xiao Qin saw the little monk Yen Qin, he felt rather happy. Big brother, my master passed away. Yen Qin said sullenly, showing grief on his face. Big brother, my master passed away. Venerable Su Yin? This senior had left a very good impression on Xiao Qin. Xiao Qin felt deep respect for him. How did he die? The heavenly book scholar explained. Back when we were still in the ancient Yen emperor tomb during the succession race, Senior Su Yin chased after the traitor, Su Ming, who was Yuan Zhen's master. In the end, that Su Ming had planned this. He lured Venerable Su Yi to the Kasayapa Buddha's golden body. Then he died together, destroying the Kasayapa Buddha's golden body, resulting in today's situation. That was how the Kasayapa Buddha's golden body was destroyed. This Su Ming schemed and was very ruthless. No wonder Xiao Qin did not see him in the Buddhist kingdom. It turned out that he was already dead. Where are Abbot Su Yi and Senior Pan Huang? Xiao Qin asked. Yen Qin answered. The abbot and Senior Pan Huang are at Spirit Vulture Mountain, leading the remaining martial uncles to suppress the sin in Spirit Vulture Mountain. Right now, I am in charge of the hidden spirit temple. The abbot and his martial uncle told me to assist the Yen Emperor, and not lower my head to the evil Buddha. Unexpectedly, Yen Chen would have a day where he could stand on his own. Given Yen Chen's character, he probably did not like this responsibility. However, with the epoch changing, the Buddhist sects no longer had anyone to lead them aside from him. Xiaochen said softly, "Before I came, I saw that the entire Yinwu dynasty was covered in smoke. The situation does not seem very optimistic. We have to persevere, right?" The heavenly book scholar smiled and said, "If even we give up, there will be no hope for this land at all." Yen Chen showed a determined expression as he said through clenched teeth, "Big brother, there is no need to worry. When the reinforcements from the other 3 Buddhist temples arrive, the evil Buddha will not be able to be so arrogant." Aside from the hidden spirit temple, the Buddhist sects had 3 other Buddhist temples, all of them holy lands. "It looks like the situation is not that bad," Xiaochen said. "Help me send my regards to 9th brother. I still have things to do and cannot stay to help him for now." After taking his leave of the 2, Xiaochen headed for the Golden Crow Empire. Xiaochen passed through the desolate sea and arrived at the Blue Dragon's old land, stopping at the small village that Xiaochen once led. The small village no longer existed. In its place was a flourishing city. A towering tree stood outside the city, covering the sky and sun. A youth formed hand seals under the tree, using spiritual energy to nourish the tree's roots. This youth was none other than Sang, the propping mulberry tree. "Wait here first." Sang did not feel surprised to see Xiaochen land. He gave him a casual glance before continuing to focus on nourishing the propping mulberry tree. Many years had passed since they parted. The sapling from back then. After so many years, the sapling from back then had already grown into a towering tree, protecting the city behind it like a guardian deity. Xiaochen was not in a rush. He waited quietly at the side. Chapter 2346. After Sang finished nourishing it with spiritual energy, Xiaochen waved his hand. Then he looked at Xiaochen and said, "It has been many years. However, I knew that you would definitely return. That is natural. However, when I came from the Yinwu dynasty, the desolate sea did not seem to have many waves." As the 2 walked casually, Xiaochen asked, finding it strange. Sang showed a calm expression as he replied casually, "The desolate sea is filled with deserts and desolate lands, lacking in spiritual energy. It is not like the Yinwu dynasty, which is at the center of the storm. However, it is only a matter of time. When the epoch ends, chaos will sweep through the entire Great Thousand Realms." Xiaochen frowned and said, "The epoch changes, and the order collapses. You don't seem to feel it at all." "What can I feel? When I was still in the propping mulberry tree's body, I saw the rise and fall of many epochs. However, don't worry. With the propping mulberry tree's protection, the villagers in Azure Mountain Town should be able to avoid much trouble." Sang knew that the ordinary people gathered in Azure Mountain Town had a deep connection to the Blue Dragon bloodline back then. Perhaps they were once ordinary people under the Blue Dragon race's rule. Although Xiaochen did not say it, he still cared about this group of people in his heart. "In that case, I'll have to trouble you." Xiaochen thanked Sang. Then he turned his head back and happened to see the towering Azure Mountain in the distance. Xiaochen's expression slowly turned grave. Now that he had returned to the Blue Dragon's old land, he definitely could not avoid this towering mountain that resembled the Blue Dragon's flight. However, the Azure Mountain remained, but the dragon head was gone. It was clear that the Azure Mountain once had a dragon head. However, someone chopped it off. Xiaochen guessed that the Divine Master must have done it after defeating Dragon Emperor Xiao Yun in the Desolate Sea. After the Holy Lord defeated Dragon Emperor Xiao Yun in the Desolate Sea, he chopped off the Azure Mountain's dragon head, using that to strangle the Blue Dragon race's luck. "Bring me to meet Grandpa 7 and the others, then." "All right." Sang led the way, bringing Xiaochen to meet all the old friends he once had. Of course, the burning moon wine brewed by Grandpa 7 had to be drunk to his heart's content. In the dead of night, Xiaochen left alone and looked at the blood moon in the sky, deep in thought. "What are you thinking about?" Sang asked as he walked out. Xiaochen muttered softly, "Previously my cultivation was not high. I thought that the desolate sea's blood moon was just a star. In the vast starry sky, there were countless stars. There was nothing strange about it. Now that I've reached my current realm, I can sense that this blood moon is truly incomparably mysterious. A blood moon would rise in the desolate sea every night. This was an ancient mystery. Many foe gods could not solve it. Why could one see the blood moon only in the desolate sea and not elsewhere? What was even more mysterious was that the blood moon was clearly in the sky, but if one flew into the starry sky, they would not be able to find it. It was even more wondrous than the reflection in the mirror. When Xiao Chen thought about Dragon Emperor Xiao Yun's words in the ethereal immortal palace, he found it hard not to connect this blood moon to the wings of time. This blood moon is indeed strange. It is clearly in the sky, and moonlight covers the entire desolate sea. However, it feels somewhat illusory. Sang nodded, agreeing with Xiao Chen's point of view. So I have to figure it out. What are you doing? Sang asked, feeling confused. Xiao Chen smiled mysteriously, not saying anything more. Then the divine universe steel quietly emerged from his body. After a while, a light flashed, and Xiao Chen entered the divine universe steel. Then, the divine universe steel vanished into thin air. Sang searched around in confusion, but did not find anything. However, he did not worry. He shook his head and said, "This fellow is becoming increasingly mysterious. He gives me the feeling that he is even more unfathomable than those powerhouses of the ancient epoch." The Blue Dragon's old land. Xiao Chen leaped out of the blood moon while holding the divine universe steel. He looked around and saw the desolate slave Soul Reaper standing on the city wall in the distance. Soul Reaper's figure looked as imposing as before, but its aura was much weaker than what Xiao Chen had seen previously. "Come in." The dragon spirit's voice rang out in Xiao Chen's mind right after he appeared. Xiao Chen turned into a beam of purple light and leaped 50 kilometers. When he passed by Soul Reaper, he turned his head back to look at it. Soul Reaper sensed Soul Reaper. It also turned its head to look at Xiao Chen with a confused expression. Every time Xiao Chen saw Soul Reaper, he felt a trace of sorrow. Sighing softly, Xiao Chen landed on the ancient city's Dao platform. A blue dragon statue surrounded the mountains in front of the Dao platform. Having come here many times, Xiao Chen was familiar with the place, so he pushed open the door of the dragon statue and entered. The dragon spirit had been waiting for a long time. Without saying a word, it brought Xiao Chen to the blue dragon's inheritance hall. Xiao Chen did not say anything. He headed for the inheritance hall. This time, he was confident of directly climbing to the top floor. "There's no need. With your current strength, you no longer need to go through a test. I can give you the 10,000 Dragons Arts follow-up cultivation technique that you want." However, the dragon spirit stopped Xiao Chen and directly handed a jade strip to Xiao Chen. "Ancestor Dragon Art?" Xiao Chen gave the jade strip a strange look. To think that the dragon spirit gave him the Ancestor Dragon Art. That's right. With your current foundation, you can already cultivate it. When the 10,000 Dragons Art is cultivated to the end, all techniques will return to one. No matter what bloodline it is, it will take the path of atavism, bringing out the great desolate Aeon Ancestor Dragon's divine might. However, it is hard to say whether you can cultivate it or not. The dragon spirit said indifferently. If one could cultivate the Ancestor Dragon Art, one would be able to bring out 1% of a great desolate Aeon Ancestor Dragon's strength. Unfortunately, over the countless epochs, very few managed to cultivate it. However, Xiao Chen did not really need the Ancestor Dragon Art right now. Right now, his flawless saber Dao already surpassed the epochs, surpassing immortals, Buddhas, gods, and demons. Furthermore, with the cycle Dao as his foundation, regular 9-vein sovereign emperors would not be a match for him. Furthermore, Xiao Chen had a trump card that others did not know about. Xiao Chen was not a 9-vein sovereign emperor, but a 10-vein sovereign emperor. The special divine vein that Xiao Chen condensed after absorbing the entire immortal burial lake actually existed independently. After Xiao Chen comprehended the Dao and absorbed all the resources of Heavenly Divine Mountain, he advanced to a 10-vein sovereign emperor. However, Xiao Chen had not ignited his divine flame, and was not a foe god. However, he had one more divine vein than a 9-vein sovereign emperor. Perhaps, It would be more accurate to call it an immortal vein rather than a divine vein. I'll leave this to you as well. After the dragon spirit handed the ancestor dragon art to Xiao Chun, it handed Xiao Chun an item. Royal genealogical record. Xiao Chun received it and took a look. It was a royal genealogical record. Only by writing his true name in it could he truly possess the dragon race's royal bloodline. Before Xiao Chun could digest it, the dragon spirit took out another item. A throne with 10,000 dragons carved on its back appeared out of nowhere before Xiao Chun. A pure emperor dragon's divine might surged out from the throne. This slightly stunned Xiao Chun. Caught off guard, this emperor dragon's divine might forced him back a few steps. This is, be it the ancestor dragon art or the royal genealogical record, Xiao Chun knew about them. Hence, he was not surprised when the dragon spirit took them out. However, this throne startled Xiao Chun. Even with Xiao Chun's current cultivation, this ancient throne still forced him back a few steps when he was unprepared. One could imagine just how great the background of this throne was. The dragon spirit smiled and said, "This is the Emperor Dragon throne that the dragon race has acknowledged since ancient times. The throne in the Divine Dragon Empire is just a replica." "Is this for me as well?" "Naturally." The dragon spirit's enthusiasm made Xiao Chun feel apprehensive in his heart. This dragon spirit is taking out all its trump cards. Xiao Chun asked suspiciously, "Senior, what do you want me to do?" The dragon spirit said somewhat excitedly, "I already sensed a great change in the world. The martial epoch will come to an end. With the Emperor Dragon throne and the royal genealogical record, you will definitely be able to snatch back the position of Dragon Emperor. After that, you will lead the Divine Dragon Empire and formally start the Divine Dragon epoch, fulfilling Dragon Emperor Xiao Yun's final wish." So that is what the dragon spirit wants. Xiao Chun put away the Emperor Dragon throne, but did not rush to imprint his soul blood on it. He looked at the dragon spirit and said, "Actually, I am not here today for the supreme treasures of the dragon race in the Blue Dragon treasure trove. I have a question that I would like to ask Senior." "Speak." "Did Dragon Emperor Xiao Yun obtain the wings of time back then?" The dragon spirit turned silent upon hearing that. After a while, it replied, "Dragon Emperor Xiao Yun did indeed obtain the wings of time." "In that case, why did he not use it when he fought the Holy Lord?" Chapter 2347. In that case, why did Dragon Emperor Xiao Yun not use the wings of time when he fought the Holy Lord back then? Xiao Chun asked the question in his heart. Then he looked at the dragon spirit, hoping to get an answer from it. The dragon spirit remained silent, seeming to be hiding something else. Xiao Chun found it strange, but he did not pursue the matter. He only waited quietly for the other party. After a long time, the dragon spirit said, "I'll tell you after you become the Dragon Emperor. How about that?" Xiao Chun said softly, "It's better to tell you now. I'm afraid of changes in the future. This matter is very important. How long is Senior going to hide it from me?" The dragon spirit sighed. After a while it said, "All right. It is indeed time to tell you. Dragon Emperor Xiao Yun did indeed secretly take away the wings of time back then. He did not use the wings of time when he fought the Holy Lord. That's because the wings of time were prepared to deal with even stronger enemies. The Black Dragon King. An enemy stronger than the Holy Lord. Naturally, Xiao Chun thought of the Black Dragon King. That's right. Back then, the blood-soaked Dragon Emperor used the martial epic's luck to barely seal the Black Dragon King. Back then, the martial epic declined and could no longer continue sealing the Black Dragon King. Dragon Emperor Xiao Yun had a greater goal. To kill the Black Dragon King and deal with this problem in one go. This revelation startled Xiao Chun. This Dragon Emperor Xiao Yun was very ambitious. This was something that even the blood-soaked Dragon Emperor could not do. To think that he wanted to take the risk and kill the Black Dragon King. After some thought, Xiao Chun said, "How did he prepare? If I guess right, it should have something to do with that blood moon above the desolate sea." The dragon spirit looked at Xiao Chun, and its eyes lit up. It said softly, "It looks like you suspected it long ago. It does have something to do with that blood moon. The desolate sea was the origin of the entire martial epoch. Back then, after Dragon Emperor Xiaoyan obtained the Wings of Time, the Desolate Sea was the origin of the entire martial epoch. Back then, after Dragon Emperor Xiaoyan obtained the Wings of Time, he materialized the Blood Moon as the formation core and laid 2 formations. 2 formations? Xiao Chen knew that there was a heavenly Tao killing formation in the vast Desolate Sea with the Blood Moon as the formation core. Then where is the other array formation? I believe you know about the heavenly Tao killing formation laid in the Desolate Sea. The other formation is in the sky. In the sky? Yes. In the vast starry heavens, Dragon Emperor Xiaoyan mobilized all the dragon race disciples in the various astral regions of the Great Thousand Realms to set up formation nodes. With the boundless universe as the background, the millions of stars as the nodes, and the Wings of Time as the formation core, Xiao Chen formed the unprecedented Great Desolate Blood Dragon formation. Once the formation is activated, the millions of stars will be driven by the Blood Moon and condense into an ancient blood dragon from the prehistoric era. The dragon spirit showed a disappointed expression as it spoke of Dragon Emperor Xiaoyan's shocking actions back then. Xiao Chen was greatly shocked, and his expression changed slightly. The Great Desolate Blood Dragon formation used the starry heavens as its background, and the millions of stars as its nodes. If this formation was activated, the size of the Great Desolate Aeon Blood Dragon that was formed would be simply inconceivable. Do you think I'm strong? However, in reality, the Great Desolate Blood Dragon formation alone could not kill the Black Dragon King. He is the incarnation of the Heavenly Tao. He is destruction itself, the monster that the Heavenly Tao used to destroy the martial epoch. Hence, the Heavenly Tao killing formation is needed. The 2 formations overlap, using the Great Desolate Aeon Blood Dragon's boundless dragon might to suppress him, and then using the Heavenly Tao's killing intent to destroy him. The dragon spirit did not pause, continuing to speak. Xiao Chen raised his eyebrows. Then, with a flip of his hand, Heavenly Slayer appeared in his grasp. My Heavenly Slayer saber. The Desolate Sea was the origin of the martial epoch. The Heavenly Tao killing formation that Dragon Emperor Xiaoyan laid was to gather the killing intent born of the Heavenly Tao since the birth of the epoch. Coincidentally, Xiao Chen's Heavenly Slayer saber could activate the Heavenly Tao's killing intent. The Heavenly Slayer saber did not kill but hurt itself. Once it was unsheathed, it would taste blood. Heavenly Slayer and the Heavenly Tao killing formation happened to draw on the Heavenly Tao's killing intent. The dragon spirit said softly, "You are not stupid. The Heavenly Slayer saber in your hand is used to activate the Heavenly Tao killing formation. The Great Desolate Blood Dragon formation is activated by the Xiaowu dynasty's Blood Dragon Cloak." Xiao Chen quickly recalled the Blood Dragon Cloak that she wore. The first time he saw it, he found it incredibly familiar. Indeed, you already know. The dragon spirit did not show much surprise on its face. After some thought, it said, "Back then, Dragon Emperor Xiaoyan dual cultivated the righteous and demonic Tao. He left a total of 2 inheritances. Naturally, one is here, and the other is the demonic Tao Hall. The 2 inheritances each control a formation and compete with each other in the future. The victor can obtain both Heavenly Slayer and the Blood Dragon Cloak, truly merging the 2 formations and becoming Dragon Emperor Xiaoyan's true inheritor." Xiao Chen could not help revealing a self-mocking smile. Dragon Emperor Xiaoyan really hid himself deeply. What starting the Divine Dragon epoch and inheriting his will? From the very start, she and I were his pawns. Only one person can obtain his inheritance. Both of us have been deceived. Xiao Chen was certain that she had not known about this, either. When she saw Dragon Emperor Xiaoyan visit the ethereal immortal palace, he could not disguise his shocked expression. However, she should know more than Xiao Chen. You could have continued hiding it. Why are you telling me now? Xiao Chen asked as he looked at the dragon spirit. The dragon spirit sighed and said, "According to Dragon Emperor Xiaoyan's will, when you become the Dragon Emperor, he will become the demonic monarch. Then, the protectors of the 2 inheritances will tell you the truth, letting you kill each other. The one who survives will be able to merge the 2 formations. However, even you are suspicious now. I believe that person should be suspicious as well. I cannot be certain that the protectors of the demonic Tao Hall's inheritances will not tell him the truth in advance. If he knows the truth and you do not, you will be at a great disadvantage. In the depths of my heart, I definitely hope that you, with a pure-blooded bloodline, can start the divine dragon epoch, and not a demonic Tao cultivator without a dragon race bloodline. The dragon spirit showed a guilty expression, but it still told Xiaochen the reason. Don't blame Dragon Emperor Xiaoyan. Back then he spent too much effort laying the two formations. Just as he was about to enter closed-door cultivation to recuperate, the golden dragons betrayed him and told the Holy Lord about his declining strength. The Holy Lord suddenly made a move. Dragon Emperor Xiaoyan's defeat was too unjust. He simply could not swallow this defeat, so he laid this seemingly inhumane contingency plan. After hearing the dragon spirit's explanation for Dragon Emperor Xiaoyan, Xiaochen felt suspicious. He asked, "Why did I hear that Dragon Emperor Xiaoyan took the initiative to challenge the Holy Lord before being defeated?" The dragon spirit smiled and said, "Back then, he secretly laid the two formations and was incredibly weak. How could he be stupid enough to attack the Holy Lord? The winner takes all. Since the Holy Lord won, he naturally would not say that Dragon Emperor Xiaoyan launched a sneak attack, something so disgraceful." Xiaochen thought about it and agreed. This explained why Dragon Emperor Xiaoyan did not attack the Holy Lord even though he had the wings of time. However, the Holy Lord is not in a good state either. Dragon Emperor Xiaoyan severely injured his main body, and basically cannot leave the faux god world. In the past 50,000 years, he wanted to explore the secrets of the Blue Dragon's old lands. However, he could only materialize divine weapons to attack. However, Soul Reaper stopped him. So that was the case. The golden divine weapons that appeared in this world in the past were actually the work of the Holy Lord. As the dragon spirit said, the Holy Lord was indeed severely injured. Now I no longer have any secrets. I already told you everything I know. You have to start the divine dragon epoch. You have to snatch that person's blood dragon cloak. You can activate the two formations that Dragon Emperor Xiaoyan laid back, then only if you obtain both at the same time. The dragon spirit showed a serious expression as it looked at Xiaochen with a grave expression. The truth was often cruel. The perfect image of Dragon Emperor Xiaoyan in Xiaochen's heart had already crumbled. It seemed to be unexpected, but it was also reasonable. If possible, Xiaochen would not want to face this truth. It was too depressing. Ignoring the grave dragon spirit, Xiaochen left this place. Then he saw Soul Reaper standing on the city wall in a daze. When Xiaochen first saw Soul Reaper, he only felt fear and horror. However, when he saw Soul Reaper now, Xiaochen felt only sorrow and respect. Compared to Dragon Emperor Xiaoyan, the desolate slave Soul Reaper held a much higher place in Xiaochen's heart. Without saying a word, Xiaochen arrived before the desolate slave Soul Reaper's mountain-like body. Xiaochen extended his hand. Soul Reaper seemed to sense it, so it raised its thick hand clumsily. When the two hands, one large and one small, touched each other, the cycle Great Tao circulated. Then Xiaochen slowly absorbed the death qi in Soul Reaper's body into his body. Then he converted the death qi into vigorous life force. Life and death cycled, materializing the power of cycles. The death qi in the desolate slave Soul Reaper vanished at a visible rate. Soul Reaper was already a dead person. Due to the death qi in its body, it could not truly die. It could only guard this secret realm in the form of a desolate slave. Bang! The instant the death qi vanished, the desolate slave Soul Reaper's huge body suddenly vanished, turning into ashes. As Xiaochen watched Soul Reaper turn to ashes, he felt deeply moved. He figured out some things. Being despicable was the pass of the despicable. No explanation would be enough. Being noble was the epitaph of the noble. There was no need to say anything. He used his life to shape a character that others looked up to. Chapter 2348. With Wuchang gone, the Blue Dragon ancient city appeared even more empty under the blood moon. What was emptier than the ancient city was the human heart. Xiaochen looked at the blood moon and pondered for a long time, lost in thought. The dragon spirit's words dispelled many of the doubts in his heart. At the same time, he felt even more deeply moved by the word involuntary. Dragon Emperor Xiaoyan was a formidable and ambitious person. In the end, he fell at the hands of his own people's betrayal. If Xiao Chun could recuperate successfully after he finished laying the Great Desolate Blood Dragon Formation and the Heavenly Tao Killing Formation, he would be able to establish a grand undertaking after he came out of closed-door cultivation. He had not expected that he would not need to use the wings of time to deal with the Holy Lord. Thinking about it, it made sense. With his weak body, he was able to severely injure the other party with less than half of his strength. If he used his full strength, the Holy Lord would definitely not be a match for him. While Xiao Chun admired Dragon Emperor Xiao Yun, he also felt repulsed by Dragon Emperor Xiao Yun's plan before his death. If it weren't for him asking repeatedly, the dragon spirit wouldn't have told him the truth at all. After Xiao Chun foolishly became the Dragon Emperor, he would not know that all this was part of Dragon Emperor Xiao Yun's plan. The other party had already set up a plan to kill each other. Between Xiao Chun and Shi, only one could live. What was even more frightening was that even when he died, he couldn't understand why he had been so focused on restoring the glory of the Blue Dragon. He did not know that he was actually killed by the Dragon Emperor of the Blue Dragon race. She should know the truth by now, right? Xiao Chun wondered if Xiao Chun, who knew the truth, would still say that no one in the world was his friend, as he did in the ancient Yin Emperor tomb. She thought that he was Dragon Emperor Xiao Yun's inheritors, thinking that he was Dragon Emperor Xiao Yun's inheritor. No matter what, they should be friends on the same side. However, Xiao Chun did not know that Dragon Emperor Xiao Yun already planned in his heart. The two of them would kill each other sooner or later, leaving only one alive. After a long time, Xiao Chun sighed and left the land of the Blood Moon, the vast desolate sea, the origin land of the martial epoch. Under the agile Blood Moon, it was bleak and gloomy. Now Xiao Chun finally understood why the desolate sea's scarlet color was so bleak, giving off an ominous feeling. Dragon Emperor Xiao Yun laid another formation 50,000 years ago, gathering the Heavenly Tao's killing intent born in the martial epoch into the Heavenly Tao Killing Formation. In the night sky, a formless killing intent spread to every corner of the desolate sea. Xiao Chun tightly grasped Heavenly Slayer and closed his eyes, carefully experiencing it. The killing intent that filled the desolate sea under the Blood Moon was connected to Heavenly Slayer. Moments later, Xiao Chun opened his eyes. Golden rays flickered in his eyes as the Chaos Godly eyes were activated. Suddenly, he saw many strange sights that others couldn't see. Countless scarlet threads surged over from all directions, connecting to Heavenly Slayer. Unfortunately, he was unable to activate the Heavenly Tao Killing Formation for his own use. According to the Dragon Spirit, one needed to have both Heavenly Slayer and the Blood Dragon Holy Cloak to activate these two formations. If one possessed only one of them, it would be a sole treasure with no special use. It had to be said that this move was quite ruthless, forcing Xiao Chun and Shi to fight. Just at this moment, Xiao Chun frowned slightly. He sensed a dark aura containing destruction approaching. This dark aura covered the night sky. It seemed like a thin layer of fog covered the Blood Moon in the sky, making it much more hazy. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. In the next moment, a figure approached from afar, rushing over. Zhen Yuan. When that figure got closer and clearly saw its appearance, Xiao Chun felt slightly startled. This person was none other than Zhen Yuan, the one who once had many conflicts with Xiao Chun in the Grave Sea Cluster. Zhen Yuan betrayed his master and entered the demonic Tao because of Zhen Yuan. Then, he absorbed a portion of the Black Dragon King's demonic thoughts in the Soaring Dragon Great Realm's underground dragon city. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. A few more beams of light flashed. Yen Songming quickly followed, arriving beside Zhen Yuan. Yen Songming hovered in the air, looking down at Xiao Chun, who stood on the Azure Mountain town's walls. Then he said, "Indeed, as I expected, you are really here." Xiao Chun asked indifferently, "What business do you have with me?" A faint layer of black fog covered Zhen Yuan's body under the night sky, making him look unfathomable. Zhen Yuan remained silent, attracting Xiao Chun's attention even more than Yen Songming did. Yen Songming said softly, "If I guessed right, you should be going to the Divine Dragon Empire soon." Going to the Divine Dragon Empire? Xiao Chun did not have such a plan for now. He intended to go to the Golden Crow Empire to deal with Ao Jiao's matters first. As for the Divine Dragon Empire, he would go there after Ao Jiao's matters were settled. Xiao Qin's expression did not change as he replied indifferently. Is that so? I don't seem to have told anyone that I am going to the Divine Dragon Empire. Yin Songming guffawed and said, Why act dumb? The Purple Gold Dragon Emperor will hold the abdication ceremony 7 days from now. The disciples of the 6-colored divine dragons will fight for the position of Dragon Emperor. Qin Ming inherited the Bushan Palace's inheritance. If you do not go, the position of Dragon Emperor will definitely go to Qin Ming. The competition to become the Dragon Emperor will begin 7 days from now? This news startled Xiao Qin slightly. This news came very suddenly. It should have arrived in the past 2 days. Previously, Xiao Qin had been traveling alone, and had not received any notice from the Heavenly Alliance. What does this have to do with you? The internal affairs of the dragon race are not for you to worry about, right? Xiao Qin did not deny it, testing Zhen Yuan's purpose in coming. Yen Songming smiled faintly and said, Is that so? After all, I have some dragon race bloodline in my body. We are more or less related. I came here to tell you that if you do not work with me, you will die for sure when you go to the Divine Dragon Empire. This joke is not funny. Working with Yen Songming felt like a joke on Xiao Qin's part, very comical. Yen Songming retorted indifferently, I came from afar and do not have the time to joke with you. A few days ago, you fought alone in the Yanwu dynasty and fought Yuanzhen to a standstill in the entire Buddhist nation. He is on equal footing with Yuanzhen's entire Buddhist nation. He might even be superior. This news has already spread like wildfire. When the martial epoch comes to an end, only a few people are qualified to start a new epoch. Everyone has to know each other's limits. Your strange strength has already caused many people to be unable to see through it. If you were to become the Dragon Emperor, I'm afraid no one would be able to stop you. Xiao Qin felt excited, feeling that Yen Songming was right. Only a few people could start a new epoch. They would definitely view each other as competitors. If Xiao Qin accidentally exposed some of his strength in the Yanwu dynasty, news of it would spread quickly. So, Xiao Qin asked as he looked at Yen Songming. Hehe, you are a smart person. You should be able to guess what will happen later. Yen Songming smiled mysteriously, not saying anything. When Xiao Qin heard that, he could not help smiling bitterly. Given this group of people's characters, they must feel that I am too much of a threat. They are sure that I will head to the Divine Dragon Empire to fight for the Dragon Emperor position, so they might work together to lay a trap, and use this opportunity to end me in the Divine Dragon Empire. Hence, Yen Songming said that if I do not work with him, only death awaits me. Those people should have communicated with Yen Songming, inviting him to form an alliance to deal with me. However, for some reason, Yen Songming leaked this information to me, and wanted to form an alliance with me. Why are you telling me all this? This was the only question that remained in Xiao Qin's heart. Why did Yen Songming travel so far to tell him all this? A dim light flashed in Yen Songming's eyes as he looked at Xiao Qin. Do you know who set all this up? Who colluded with the outstanding talents of the righteous Dao and demonic Dao to kill you? Yuanzhen? That's not right. Chu Chaoyan? Guess again. The profound heaven holy lands Wenren. Yen Songming smiled faintly and said, That's not right. It's you. After he returned to the demonic Dao palace from the ancient Yen Emperor tomb, he became somewhat strange. After he learned that you fought Yuanzhen's Buddhist nation alone in the Yanwu dynasty, he became even stranger. Yen Songming did not know the reason either. Xiao Qin sighed in his heart. It looks like she knows about Dragon Emperor Xiaoyun's plan as well. Hence she plans to kill me immediately. To me, I definitely do not wish for you to die just like that, and watch as she covers the sky with one hand. Hence we should work together. I will help you obtain the Dragon Emperor position, and you will help me restore the status of the Flood Dragon humans in the Divine Dragon Empire. Yen Songming continued, telling Xiao Qin his true purpose at the same time. Wrong. You just want us, the epic masters, to kill each other so that you can reap the benefits. Black Dragon King, am I right? Xiao Qin swept his gaze past Jin Yuan, and fixed it on Jin Yuan, who had remained silent from the start to the end. Whoosh. Zhen Yuan's eyes turned pitch black. Two black dragon images swam in the depths of his eyes. Surprise flashed on Zhen Yuan's face when he heard what Xiaochen said. He said softly, "That's right. Only you can be absolutely certain of my identity. After all, you personally saw me swallow the Black Dragon King's demonic sense back then." Chapter 2349. That's right. Only you can be 100% certain of my identity. After all, you saw me devour the Black Dragon King's demonic will with your own eyes. When Zhen Yuan heard Xiaochen determine his identity, a look of surprise flashed across his face. Then he openly admitted it. "You've fused with the Black Dragon King's demonic will?" Xiaochen asked in a deep voice. "Sort of, but that's not important anymore. You don't have a choice. Everyone knows that you will definitely fight for the Dragon Emperor title. However, once you go to the Divine Dragon Empire, only death awaits you." Zhen Yuan looked at Xiaochen and said calmly. Yen Songming continued, "Work with me. Everyone is just taking what they need. Even if we take a step back, don't you want Qin Ming to become the Dragon Emperor? She's strength is equally terrifying now. You have no choice." Even though Xiaochen saw through their thoughts, Yen Songming and Zhen Yuan remained fearless. He was not afraid that Xiaochen would not agree, because he had no choice. No choice. Wrong. As long as your heart is strong enough, you can always make the right choice. Boom. As soon as he finished speaking, Xiaochen suddenly attacked, sending a punch flying toward Zhen Yuan. Regardless of whether Zhen Yuan had merged with the Black Dragon King's demonic will or not, since it delivered itself to him, Xiaochen naturally would not let it go. When he punched out, the great Tao of reincarnation circulated, and the endless power of reincarnation circulated. It gathered in the fist radiance and bloomed like an epiphyllum in the dark night, making the blood moon in the sky dim. Zhen Yuan's expression changed drastically. He had not expected Xiaochen to suddenly make a move. With a cold snort, a monstrous demonic aura erupted from his body, and a destructive aura erupted from his body. In his eyes, there was a sky full of stars. In the vast river of stars, stars were destroyed one after another. This caused the destructive aura on his body to reach a horrifying level. It was as if there were really stars exploding in his body. Pooh. However, before Zhen Yuan, who had passively received this punch, could fully extend his arm, he was sent flying by Xiaochen like a meteor. "Stop." At the side, Yen Songming felt greatly startled. Unexpectedly, the force behind Xiaochen's punch was so horrifying. He quickly made a move to block Xiaochen, who wanted to give chase. The will of death spread out from his body like a tide. The black aura was like liquid. The strange, evil tentacles materialized and gathered on Yen Songming's palm. Just a glance at the terrifying death intent was enough to send shivers down one's spine. He was afraid of being touched by it, and could not avoid it in time. Yen Songming's Death Dao domain already reached the 9th layer, only one step shy of the 10th layer. Its lethality was extremely terrifying. Compared to other killing moves, martial techniques powered by the Death Great Dao could injure a cultivator's life force. If he was heavily injured, his vitality would be damaged, and it would be very difficult to recover. However, Xiaochen did not fear the killing move materialized by the Death Dao domain. He raised his hand and clashed with it. Boom boom boom. The moment the two palms collided, a vigorous life force gushed out from behind Xiaochen. At a visible speed, a vast, green grassland took form behind Xiaochen in an instant. The grass grew long and the orioles flew. Everything was in spring. Thousands of flowers appeared in the vast grassland, adorning it with beautiful purples and reds. My death intent. Horror appeared in Yen Songming's eyes, revealing heavy confusion. Unexpectedly, the other party turned Yen Songming's vast and boundless death intent into even more boundless life force, scattering it on this desolate and dilapidated desolate sea land. Flowers bloomed and withered in an endless cycle. Xiaochen shouted, and the vast grassland behind him looked like a wildfire. It burned out, not leaving a single blade of grass behind. The thousands of flowers and grass instantly withered. The instant the flowers withered, Xiaochen returned a palm strike to Yen Songming. The death intent contained in this palm strike was even stronger than Yen Songming's. Bang! Yen Songming gaped in disbelief. To think that Xiao Chen was even more skilled in the Death Dao domain than him. Xiao Chen's even more ferocious and surging Death Dao domain directly scattered Yen Songming's heavy death intent. Yen Songming vomited a mouthful of blood as he retreated in an even more sorry state than Zhen Yuan. Whoosh! Whoosh! The instant Yen Songming and Zhen Yuan landed, they flew up at the same time. Both of them charged at Xiao Chen, going all out this time. Zhen Yuan drew his saber, and Yen Songming tightly grasped a black whip with a sticky black liquid around it. Dense black dragon scales appeared on Yen Songming's face. Alloy dragon armor. With a thought, Xiao Chen activated the alloy dragon armor. Then, he grasped the tyrant saber's scabbard on his back with his right hand. As the two charged over, Xiao Chen drew the tyrant saber at the same time. Under the blood moon, this flash of saber light looked as beautiful as a scarlet datura flower. Xiao Chen suppressed Zhen Yuan's and Yen Songming's auras by himself. Pa! Yen Songming roared ferociously and swung his black whip in a circle in the air. It was like a thunderclap, ear-splitting and ear-splitting. As this whip swept over, it was like a phantom from hell's depths. Zhen Yuan remained expressionless, looking like a demonic Buddha descending to the world as he held the world destroyer in his hand. The dark saber light cut through the world with an irresistible force, containing a boldness that wanted to destroy everything in the world. Even so, the two still retreated before Xiao Chen's saber light. Xiao Chen's saber light seemed to surpass the limits of the epic, unrestricted by the world. It was like the horn of an antelope, untraceable. It was also like the blazing sun, its surging energy soaring endlessly. Damn it, what kind of strength is this? This is definitely not the cultivation of a nine-veined sovereign emperor. Even a faux god is only as a... Yen Songming said with some despair. Even when the two worked together, they were not a match for Xiao Chen. After exchanging a few moves, the two retreated. However, Xiao Chen remained unfathomable. Under the blood moon, every move he made seemed to freeze time. In the eyes of others, Xiao Chen looked magnificent, unrivaled in the past and present. After 100 moves, Zhen Yuan revealed a strange smile as he stretched out his hand and threw a palm strike at the sky. Whoosh! Under the influence of the destruction Great Tao, the boundless night sky slowly turned denser, until it hid the blood moon. Let's go! The instant the blood moon vanished, Zhen Yuan grabbed Yen Songming and fled far away. The boundless night sky lasted for only a moment. Before anyone noticed it, the blood moon reappeared. However, when Xiao Chen looked around, he could no longer see Yen Songming and Zhen Yuan. Did they flee? A look of pity flashed in Xiao Chen's eyes. It was not that Zhen Yuan had fled. It was not that Zhen Yuan had fled. But Xiao Chen clearly felt that Zhen Yuan had not done his best. Xiao Chen had not fought this battle yet, but the other party had already left. This felt somewhat unfair. An unprecedented 10-veined sovereign emperor, the cycle Great Tao, and the flawless saber Tao infused with immortals, Buddhas, gods, and demons. Xiao Chen really wanted to know how strong he was now. Unfortunately, this Zhen Yuan, or rather, the Black Dragon King's seal had not been broken, and his strength was not at its peak. Thus, he did not wish to fight with Xiao Chen. What he displayed was only the strength of the Black Dragon King's demonic will and quintessential essence soul, not the sealed Black Dragon King's main body. At best, it can only be considered a clone. How strong is the Black Dragon King's main body? After Xiao Chen sheathed the tyrant saber and calmed down, he entered deep thought. No wonder Dragon Emperor Xiao Yin, a peak expert, had to put in so much effort to lay two startling formations to kill the Black Dragon King. At the mention of Dragon Emperor Xiao Yun, Xiao Chen recalled the arrangements Dragon Emperor Xiao Yun made before his death. Then he sighed. Now retribution came. After she learned the truth, he actually worked with the epic masters of the righteous Dao and demonic Dao to kill Xiao Chun in the Divine Dragon Empire. He raised his head and saw a glimmer of light on the horizon. Dawn was about to arrive. A vast sun was about to rise into the sky. Xiao Chen's heart skipped a beat. The desolate sea had a blood moon at night and an incredibly huge, blazing sun during the day, illuminating the desolate sea all year round. The blood moon was a trap laid by Dragon Emperor Xiao Yun, who was the one who laid the blazing sun, which was much larger than the sun outside. Yen Songming and Zhen Yuan stood side by side in the distance, still feeling lingering fear. This person is too horrifying. No wonder he did not work with me. He did not need it at all. To think that he managed to merge the life and death Tao so perfectly. That is the cycle Great Tao, one of the ultimate Great Tao. The cycle Great Tao. Yes. There's no need to ask about the details. In any case, we already achieved our goal in this trip. Originally, I was worried that he was too weak and would be easily suppressed by Shi. Now there is a good show to watch, Zhen Yuan said softly, revealing a playful smile. Yen Songming remained silent at the side for a long time. Finally, he could not help asking, if we let him grow, will the Black Dragon King's true body be unsealed and not be able to do anything to him? The moment Yen Songming said that, Zhen Yuan revealed a complicated expression. He sighed. It's useless. The Black Dragon King represents the end, represents destruction. Unless all the epic masters work together, we can barely put up a fight. Otherwise, everything will be for naught. When the Black Dragon King appears, it will be the end of the martial epoch. Chapter 2350. The morning sun rose, and the sun rose into the sky. On the horizon, a sun that was much larger than the rest of the world shone with a dazzling brilliance. The sun shone, sweeping away the chill of the desolate sea's night. After Xiao Chen took his leave of Sang, he used the Heavenly Alliance medallion to confirm the information he obtained from Yen Songming with Mu Zifeng. It's true. Jiang He already left the Heavenly Alliance and headed for the Divine Dragon Empire. The Purple Gold Dragon Emperor will abdicate the Dragon Emperor position 7 days later. At that time, the entire upper echelon of the Bushan Palace will arrive. The other super factions will come as well. What do you think? I hope that you can rush to the Divine Dragon Empire quickly. We absolutely cannot let Qin Ming obtain the Dragon Emperor position. The Heavenly Alliance will support you fully. I understand. Mu Zifeng's illusory figure on the medallion slowly faded. Xiao Chen muttered to himself, thinking about something. He did not tell Mu Zifeng that he obtained the Emperor Dragon Throne and the royal genealogical record. However, it did not matter much whether he told Mu Zifeng. The Heavenly Alliance placed all its bets on Xiao Chen. It would definitely support him unconditionally. If Qin Ming successfully became the Dragon Emperor, it would be a huge blow to Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen's luck would decrease significantly. As the epoch changed, the previously boundlessly ethereal luck would become even more important. Perhaps an insignificant matter could have a major impact, causing the Heavenly Alliance to lose the competition to start the epoch. Dragon Emperor. Xiao Chen sighed and shook his head. Then he carefully put away the Heavenly Alliance medallion. Compared to the Dragon Emperor position, Xiao Chen cared more about the other piece of news that Mu Zifeng told him. The White Dragon bloodline had already confirmed that they would send Lu Ruyue to fight for the Dragon Emperor position. The 6 colored divine dragons, including the Heaven Dragon Palace, were all qualified to send disciples to fight for the Dragon Emperor position. However, this fight for the Dragon Emperor position was clearly just a formality. Qin Ming, who obtained the full support of the Bushan Palace, was much stronger than the other opponents. Of course, that was if Xiao Chen did not appear. I'll go to the Golden Crow Empire first. A bright light lit in Xiao Chen's eyes. He did not change his original plan because of this sudden incident. In merely 2 days, Xiao Chen crossed the desolate sea and stepped into the Golden Crow Empire's territory. Something's wrong. The instant he stepped into the Golden Crow Empire's territory, Xiao Chen sensed a strange divine essence fluctuation in the air. The divine energy fluctuations were extremely weak. Even a regular sovereign emperor would find it hard to notice if they did not pay close attention. As a 10-vein sovereign emperor, Xiao Chen immediately noticed something wrong. Xiao Chen pondered for a moment before he looked up at the capital of the Golden Crow Empire. Opening his heavenly eye, Xiao Chen's vision extended out continuously. Cities, rivers, mountains, grasslands, deserts, all of them flashed past his eyes. We're here. After a while, Xiao Chen's gaze traversed the boundless distance and landed on the majestic capital. But just as he was about to take the next step, however, he realized that his vision was obstructed. There was an invisible force blocking his view, and he immediately felt puzzled. Withdrawing his gaze, Xiaochen closed his eyes and tried to sense with his soul power. Once again he was blocked. Be it his soul energy or the heavenly eye, he could not see through the Golden Crow Empire's capital. There were only two explanations. The Golden Crow Empire's capital's protective formation had already been activated. Unless a faux god powerhouse worked together to lay the formation, it could not block Xiaochen's vision. What's going on? No matter which explanation it was, it would be shocking. This meant that a huge change had happened in the Golden Crow Empire's capital. Xiaochen opened his eyes, and a murderous intent flashed in them. There were many possibilities for such a huge change. However, it would be best if it was not what Xiaochen guessed. Whoosh! Xiaochen gently pushed off the ground, and turned into a flash of lightning, merging into the clouds. Amidst the clouds, lightning flashed and flashed, advancing at an inconceivable speed. About 15 minutes later, electric light fell from a tall mountain peak 50 kilometers away from the Golden Crow Empire's capital. The electric light formed, and the white-clad Xiaochen firmly landed. Whoosh! 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 The moment Xiaochen appeared, he discovered the auras of a few sovereign emperors rushing over to where he landed. The security is really tight. I was discovered the moment I appeared. Xiaochen muttered to himself. Xiaochen muttered to himself. The more he thought about it, the more he felt that something big was happening in the capital. 3 figures appeared before Xiaochen. Without exception, none of them had the Golden Crow bloodline. The leader had white hair and a bright red mark on his forehead, showing that he was a royal member of the White Marsh Beast Empire. The other 2 middle-aged men looked very wild, showing that they were from the Heavenly Wolf Empire. The white-haired old man had a benevolent expression. He revealed a smile as he looked at Xiaochen. Then he asked softly, "Are you entering the capital?" Xiaochen felt suspicious in his heart. However, he replied calmly, "I saw that the capital seemed to have activated its protective formation, so I came over to take a look. Your cultivation is rather astonishing. I can sense it even if you are not from the Golden Crow Empire. However, I do not seem to have seen you in the Divine Dragon Empire before." The white-haired old man clearly noticed the dragon race bloodline in Xiaochen, so he probed. Xiaochen said indifferently, "He's just a mixed-blood dragon. It's normal that you haven't seen him before." The white-haired old man suddenly understood. That was not strange. The people he dealt with in the Bushan Palace were all divine dragon emperors. However, it was quite surprising. Even though this person's draconic might was restrained, his aura was outstanding and couldn't be concealed. Unexpectedly, such a person was actually a mixed-blood dragon. If you are not the Golden Crow Empire's sovereign emperor, then stay away. Don't be a busybody. The middle-aged man next to him stared at Xiaochen and said in an unfriendly manner, "All right, I was just curious." Xiaochen smiled and turned to leave, disappearing from their sight in the blink of an eye. This person is quite sensible. He should be a mixed-blood dragon who has been wandering outside. He doesn't know about what happened in Bushan Palace. The other middle-aged sovereign emperor said softly. The white-haired old man's smile vanished, replaced by a ferocious expression. There was no trace of the benevolence he had a moment ago, and his gaze was like that of a poisonous snake. The white-haired old man said coldly, "We cannot be careless. We cannot make any mistakes at the crucial moment." Suddenly, the white-haired old man's expression changed drastically. After a pause he said, "Why do I feel that this white-clad person's aura, appearance, and bloodline are very similar to a certain rumored person?" "Similar to who?" The white-haired old man was about to speak when he sensed a weak killing intent. He shouted, "There is killing intent." Bang. However, it was too late. The 2 great perfection sovereign emperors with only 6 divine veins could not react in time. Xiaochen, who had quietly circled around, punched them. Supreme Dragon Fist, only I am supreme. The blue dragon image connected the sky and the ground. A vast dragon might descended together with the fist light, making breathing difficult. Before the 2 6-veined sovereign emperors could turn around, Xiaochen punched them into bits. They turned into ashes, their souls extinguished. The white-haired old man, who was an 8-veined sovereign emperor, fled far away. When he turned around and saw this scene, he gaped in shock, flabbergasted. What kind of strength is this? He managed to destroy 2 six-veined sovereign emperors with one punch. Although this was partly due to the element of surprise, the might of this punch was too horrifying. Ice Small World. Without much time to think, the white-haired old man instantly activated his 10th layer Ice Dao domain and formed an Ice Small World encasing Xiaochen. Pa. However, before the white-haired old man could show his might, a saber light flashed, and the entire small world shattered into countless ice shards. Xiaochen broke the Ice Small World with one saber strike. The white-haired old man felt greatly startled, completely at a loss. He opened his hand and grasped a Bushan Palace medallion. Whoosh! A miserable shriek rang out. The white-haired old man did not see the white-clad old man move at all, but the saber light chopped off his right hand, which held the medallion. Xiaochen reached out and grabbed the medallion. Then he crushed it into a ball and casually tossed it away. You are Xiaochen. The white-haired old man looked at Xiaochen in horror. Now he finally recognized Xiaochen and guessed his identity. Since you know that it is me, then be more obedient. Don't think of informing the faux god experts. Tell me, what happened in the Golden Crow Empire's capital? If you don't tell me in 3 seconds, don't blame me. Xiaochen said indifferently without fear as he stood in front of the white-haired old man. The white-haired old man clearly knew that even if he did not say anything, Xiaochen had other means to obtain an answer from him. The white-haired old man had no choice but to take the initiative to tell the white-haired old man. Otherwise, who knew what kind of torture he would suffer? There's no need to threaten me. The winner takes all. I'm clearer than you on the means of a sovereign emperor. I'll tell you. The Bushan Palace wants the Golden Crow Empire to offer up the Golden Crow Holy Beast as a congratulatory gift to Qin Ming, who will become the Dragon Emperor in 5 days. The Golden Crow Holy Beast will sign a contract and become his divine pet. The white-haired old man sighed softly. You saw the result for yourself. The Golden Crow Empire did not agree, so the Bushan Palace resorted to forceful means. Right now, the Golden Crow Empire's royal clan has already retreated to the Sunhan Divine Temple. However, they will not be able to hold out for long. It is impossible for him to handle the entire Bushan Palace by himself. Xiaochen did not say anything even after a while. The white-haired old man felt nervous as he probed. It looks like you are tactful. You know that a faux god is holding down the fort, and do not dare to act rashly. Since that is the case, why make things difficult for me? I've been missing for too long. If I startle a faux god, it will not be good for you. Whoosh! Xiaochen casually swung his saber and sheathed his tyrant saber. Before the white-haired old man could finish speaking, his divine seal and physical body were chopped in half. When the white-haired old man turned his head back to look at the capital, he saw Xiaochen standing upright while holding his saber. Unexpectedly, the result was the one that he did not want to see the most. A clump of golden light struggled endlessly behind him. That was the white-haired old man's soul. However, the soul contained a strand of saber intent. No matter how the white-haired old man struggled, it appeared weak and powerless, unable to change the fate of his soul scattering. From start to end, Xiaochen did not turn his head to look at the white-haired old man. Chapter 2351. As he looked at the Golden Crow Empire's capital, Xiaochen showed an unsightly expression. After noticing the strange situation in the capital, Xiaochen guessed that the Bushan Palace was targeting Little Yellow Feather. Who would have thought that the worst outcome would really be predicted by him? Although a pure-blooded holy beast was still young, it would be a great weapon at this crucial juncture when the epoch changed. If Xiaochen ignored Little Yellow Feather and used a secret technique to catalyze it, overdrawing on its life force in exchange for the strength of an adult golden crow, it would be simply unimaginable. That was simply unimaginable. In a battle against the other sons of epochs, they would occupy an enormous advantage. The Golden Crow Empire would definitely have a faux god guarding the capital. Its luck would be second to none among the 8 great empires. However, the Golden Crow Empire would not be able to resist when the other 7 great empires worked together. The faux gods had already worked together to seal the entire capital with a barrier. As a result, Xiao Chun had no idea what was happening inside. Breaking the barrier would not be too difficult for a 10-vein sovereign emperor, like Xiao Chun. The difficult part was that it was impossible to break the barrier without alerting a foe god expert. Xiao Chun did not know how strong a foe god was. Xiao Chun could not be sure if he could fight a foe god with his current strength. After thinking for a while, Xiao Chun gave a simple report of the Golden Crow Empire's situation to Mu Zifeng. Don't act rashly for now. I'll get Swearin Ji and the other doyens to help you. With your current strength, it is still not time for you to face a foe god. How long do I need? Half a day is enough. After putting away the Heavenly Alliance medallion, Xiao Chun sat cross-legged on the summit and thought to himself, half a day? Can Ao Jiao really wait half a day? What if the Solar Divine Temple falls in half a day, and the Bushan Palace's people want to snatch little Yellow Feather away? Given Ao Jiao's character, she would definitely fight with her life on the line. No, I can't afford to gamble. Compared to Ao Jiao's safety, Xiao Chun would rather face a foe god himself. He could not let the past repeat itself. Ao Jiao had already died once in the Sky Dome realm when she was helping him with his heart tribulation. Foe god. Let me experience the strength of a foe god. Xiao Chun shouted and grasped his saber hilt. Then he swung his hand, and the tyrant's saber came out of its scabbard again. The flawless saber Dao, which surpassed the epic, materialized thousands of saber lights when driven by the cycle Great Dao. Then, a boundlessly resplendent saber light rose behind Xiao Chun. The dazzling saber light spread out in circles and overlapped with each other. It was as if another sun had risen behind him. In the vast Golden Crow Empire, the hundreds of millions of commoners and cultivators scattered across the empire's territory all witnessed this shocking scene. Suddenly, a blazing sun appeared in the sky. The two suns competed with each other's brilliance, and for a moment, it was impossible to tell which was the real one. However, this phenomenon only lasted for an instant. Just when everyone thought that they were seeing things, a voice suddenly rang out. In a flash, he entered the capital. The four corners of the capital, which seemed to be normal from the start, suddenly changed. Then, a barrier of light suddenly appeared and pressed down, sealing off the entire capital. This made the vast and majestic capital look like a birdcage, firmly locked in. Boom! The blazing sun in the sky smashed into the capital with the momentum of a thunderbolt. In the next moment, the ground trembled. Terrifying shock waves erupted above the capital. The shock waves spread for millions of kilometers. The instant the shock waves shattered the tall mountains under Xiao Chun's feet, Xiao Chun leaped into the air and landed on the majestic city walls of the capital. Xiao Chun broke the barrier reinforced by a foe god with one saber strike. He used an absolutely tyrannical and ferocious saber strike to forcefully break it, not using any tricks at all. Strong winds buffeted Xiao Chun's clothes as he stood on the city wall in his white robes. Xiao Chun looked down at the entire capital. The originally prosperous and flourishing capital had already turned into rubble. Thousands of kilometers of rubble could not be seen. A capital that had existed for a long time was destroyed just like that. It did not get destroyed by Xiao Chun's earlier saber strike. Instead, it got destroyed in the battle before Xiao Chun arrived. Clang, clang, clang. The sounds of fighting rang out endlessly. The intense battle came from the distance. Xiao Chun turned his head to look. His vision peered through the dust and saw two foe god experts fighting on a tall mountain in the city. Below, many sovereign emperors fought each other in an extremely intense battle in a completely intact, empty land. It was the Solar Divine Temple. The foe god experts fought above the Solar Divine Temple. The Bushan Palace's sovereign emperors were below. They had already broken the Solar Divine Temple's formations and charged into the temple to fight the final battle. Xiao Chun could sense countless gazes in the Golden Crow Empire's capital, both in the open and in the dark. Countless gazes looked at Xiao Chun, either filled with doubt or confusion. This humble one is Bai Ju. Might I ask which faction's foe god you are from? Why are you interfering in the private matters of my Bushan Palace? Just as Xiao Chun sized up the surroundings and prepared to head to the Solar Divine Temple, an old man landed on the city wall in the distance. This old man wore gray robes and had a pale complexion. There was a blood mark on his forehead. This was a faux god expert with the great desolate Ian White Marsh Beast's bloodline. Baiju looked at Xiao Chun feeling puzzled. He wondered which faction this faux god was. To think that he was so young. However, Baiju only sized up Baiju for a while before feeling even more puzzled. Why does he not look like a faux god? There is no divine nature at all. Then what about the earlier saber strike? Xiao Chun did not answer. He noticed that the other party held a crystalline pagoda, radiating silver light in his left hand. As the other party spoke, he silently circulated his divine energy. The barrier that Xiao Chun broke earlier was slowly recovering. It looked like it was going to envelop the Golden Crow Empire's capital again. Xiao Chun felt excited. It looked like this old man was in a rush to seal off the capital again. Xiao Chun thought about the faux god experts fighting in the sky above the solar divine temple. Xiao Chun immediately understood. The silver pagoda in the old man's hand had the effect of isolating the nation's protective formation. The protective formation could draw in the spiritual energy of the entire Golden Crow Empire's capital. If Xiao Chun was suppressed and could only draw in the capital's spiritual energy, the formation would be useless. Xiao Chun looked around. Indeed, in the solar divine temple, the many sovereign emperors that had already charged into the solar divine temple were chased out. The Golden Crow Empire's sovereign emperors fought even more ferociously. Given this, as long as Xiao Chun delayed this faux god and prevented him from raising the barrier again, he would not have to worry. There was no need to worry about Ao Jiao and the others in the solar divine temple. When the Heavenly Alliance experts arrived, the Golden Crow Empire would have survived this crisis. Trying to act mysterious, Baiju finally confirmed that Xiao Chun was not a faux god. Seeing that Xiao Chun still did not answer, he flew into a rage. Baiju waved his hand and threw a palm strike at Xiao Chun. Immediately, Xiao Chun felt that hand cover the sky, cutting off his connection with the world. The entire world turned pitch black. The world started rejecting him. An unprecedented loneliness surged over. Xiao Chun felt startled. What kind of move was this? He had never heard of it before. However, although Xiao Chun felt shocked, he did not panic. He was like a saber abandoned at the darkest edge of the world. However, this saber was unprecedented. Even if the world abandoned it, its light would not be shrouded by darkness. Even if the world abandoned it, its light would not be shrouded by darkness. Whoosh! Xiao Chun sent out a saber light. The instant the saber light flickered, the dark world regained its color. Then, the Golden Crow Empire's capital reappeared bit by bit. Xiao Chun had returned. Crack! Xiao Chun chopped the gigantic palm descending from the sky in half. However, the huge impact still knocked Xiao Chun into the air, shaking his blood vessels and shattering his internal organs. The divine seal in Xiao Chun's soul pool was like a candle flame in the wind, flickering like it would be extinguished at any moment. How terrifying! Even though Xiao Chun blocked the killing move of a faux god, the shock waves were still fatal. When a faux god ignited their divine flame, a casual strike of theirs would be supported by the faux god flame. While severely injuring the physical body, it would also attack the divine seal. If Xiao Chun was not careful, he would turn to ashes. Xiao Chun circulated the cycle Great Tao, using the cycle of life and death to continuously negate the shock waves. By the time Xiao Chun landed, the swaying divine seal in his soul pool had already stabilized and slowly burned. You truly live up to being a faux god expert. This Xiao has experienced it firsthand. Xiao Chun said sincerely as he looked at Baiju. A faux god expert was indeed incredible. If it were any other nine-vein sovereign emperor, Baiju's palm strike would have been sufficient to turn that nine-vein sovereign emperor into ashes. Even Xiao Chun felt somewhat lucky. When isolated, Xiao Chun did not panic or feel anxious. He did not hesitate to draw his saber. Otherwise, if he delayed for even a moment, the consequences would be dire. This Xiao. A brilliant light flashed in Baiju's eyes. After some thought he said, "You are the epic successor that the Heavenly Alliance nurtured, Xiao Chun." "That is me. Ha 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 ha." Baiju could not hide the wild joy on his face as he guffawed. "I can wear out iron shoes in fruitless search, only to find it by chance. You are really bold to dare to face a faux god expert alone. If I kill you, I can forget about my divine beast." Chapter 2352. Baiju, who unexpectedly discovered Xiao Chen's identity, rejoiced. Unexpectedly, such a good thing delivered itself to him. Right now, Xiao Chen was the Bushan Palace's greatest enemy. Between Baiju and the Dragon God Crown Prince Qin Ming, only one could truly become the Dragon Emperor. If Xiao Chen killed Baiju, Qin Ming would inherit his luck. The Bushan Palace's chances of starting a new epoch would increase significantly. In the end, Baiju came to the Golden Crow Empire to hunt Little Yellowfeather to increase Qin Ming's luck and strength, increasing his chances of starting a new epoch. However, the effect was far from being as fast as killing Xiao Chen. Die. Baiju attacked again, still using only one hand. He held the silver pagoda in his left hand, wanting to prop up the formation sealing the capital again. The world sank into darkness again. When Xiao Chen looked around, everything he saw and felt was pitch black. The city walls, the capital, the land, the mountains, the sky, the white clouds, everything that Xiao Chen saw vanished. It was like he was isolated in another world, not tolerated by the world. There was no place for him in this vast world. The sense of isolation in Xiao Chen's heart surged even more ferociously than the first time. Again? This time, Xiao Chen did not feel surprised when Baiju used the same trick, forcing him into this strange space again. Xiao Chen raised his hand and swung his tyrant saber again. All sorts of colors immediately appeared in this world. Xiao Chen's sealed senses and vision recovered. The sense of isolation from the world no longer existed. Whoosh! When Xiao Chen looked up, an ancient finger descended from the sky. The finger descended like it was trying to kill an ant. Xiao Chen felt a vast and boundless pressure. After experiencing it once, Xiao Chen was no longer as nervous as he was the first time. So he dodged in advance. Whoosh! Xiao Chen's figure turned into a lightning bolt, and a resplendent saber light descended. My divine pressure. How can you dodge it? Baiju felt shocked. To think that Xiao Chen dodged this attack. This was simply unimaginable. No sovereign emperor had ever been able to dodge a foe god's attack. After lighting up the foe god flame, one would be able to understand the nature of the world. Within a certain range, one would be like the creator of the world. It could perfectly merge with the world and release divine pressure, sealing off a sovereign emperor's senses and making the world reject the other party. If one were to advance further and become a true god, this space would be comparable to the divine kingdom. However, there were no true gods now. There were only foe gods and they could no longer materialize the divine kingdom. Even so, the divine pressure of a foe god expert was unfathomable to a sovereign emperor. With the six senses sealed, there was no way to avoid a foe god's killing move when one's soul energy, vision, hearing, smell, and touch were all rendered useless. But now, this iron rule had been broken twice by Xiao Chen. You overestimate yourself. After the shock, Baiju calmed down. After all, Baiju was a void god realm expert. With a raise of his hand, he neutralized Xiao Chen's saber strike, which could kill a nine-vein sovereign emperor. Then he used two fingers to clamp down on the saber. Xiao Chen, who was in the air, immediately felt his saber completely restrained, unable to advance or retreat. Baiju smiled coldly and said, "You really startle me. To think that you can dodge my killing move from my divine pressure. Unfortunately, you do not know how horrifying a foe god is." Dang. A flame appeared in Baiju's eyes, and a vast divine might erupted from his body as he flicked his finger. The tyrant saber immediately trembled endlessly. The force traveled along the saber, sending Xiao Chen flying back like a cannonball. Clang. Xiao Chen, who knelt on one knee, stabbed the tyrant saber into the ground and stabilized his body. Blood leaked out of a corner of Xiao Chen's mouth, but his eyes remained calm, not showing any fluctuations. Baiju felt startled. His earlier attack looked casual. In reality, he had already used 50% of his strength. However, the other party was not severely injured. Baiju's expression was as calm as still water, and his eyes were deep like the starry sea. It was like he was evaluating his own strength. Could he be testing out how strong a foe god is? Damn it. Shouldn't he be scared out of his wits when he sees a foe god? Baiju seemed to feel that his pride as a foe god was being mocked. Rage surged in his heart, and he attacked again. This time, Baiju pressed forward, and a vast and boundless divine might pressed down like an avalanche. Then he threw a palm strike at lightning speed, a palm strike that could shatter stars. Before Baiju arrived, a sonic boom already rang out in the air. The sound was ear-splitting like thunder, scattering the clouds for 5,000 kilometers around, and revealing the boundless starry heavens dotted with stars. Xiao Chen smiled faintly, not clashing head-on with Baiju, dodging for now. Xiao Chen's primary goal was to delay the other party and reseal the capital. His secondary goal was to verify how strong a foe god was, to see if he could defeat a foe god. The two immediately fought on the ancient city walls of the capital that had stood for tens of thousands of years. The intensity of the battle was no weaker than the fight between the two foe gods above the solar divine temple. Your Highness the Divine Daughter, it is Xiao Chen. Hao Kai, who was responsible for protecting Ao Jiao in the distant solar divine temple, finally recognized Xiao Chen. Earlier, Hao Kai saw someone break the seal with one saber strike. Hao Kai also thought that it was a foe god senior helping. After observing for a long time, he was shocked to discover that it was not a foe god. It was not a foe god. It was Xiao Chen. What is he doing here? That idiot. Why is he fighting a foe god? Compared to Hao Kai's excited expression, Ao Jiao showed a worried expression, continuously grumbling. In her anxiety, she did not even realize that she had called Xiao Chen an idiot again. Hao Kai asked, Divine Daughter, should we go and help? Right now, the nation's protective formation is fully operational. That group of people from Bushin Palace can no longer charge in. No. Ao Jiao rejected with a calm expression. Don't give him trouble. He took the risk to fight a foe god, so that the nation's protective formation could operate perfectly. If we go and help, wouldn't we be wasting his efforts? Furthermore, if they got captured, it would be equivalent to harming Xiao Chen. Hao Kai asked, what should we do then? Ao Jiao sighed softly. He probably does not know that we still have a backup plan and can leave. This idiot. He always likes to do things his own way. However, since he made a move, he definitely has a way to protect himself. For hours passed quickly after the intense battle on the city walls. Baiju launched a frenzied attack against Xiao Chen. Aside from the silver pagoda in his left hand, he used nearly everything else he had. However, despite the other terrifying attacks, Xiao Chen did not suffer any severe injuries. Aside from being in a sorry state, he was like a lone boat drifting in the wind and rain. The strong wind and heavy rain battered him, but he did not capsize. It looks like foe gods are only SOSO. Xiao Chen said coldly as he held up his saber and looked at the furious Baiju, who could not do anything about it. When Baiju heard that, he smiled instead of getting angry. Is that so? In front of me, you don't even have the ability to retaliate. You can only retaliate a few times. Occasionally you can't even injure a strand of my hair, yet you dare to mock foe gods as SO? Indeed. Even a fatal attack against a 9-vein sovereign emperor would not be able to injure you. Without igniting the divine flame, no matter how strong my killing moves are, they would not be able to injure you. However, I do not only have these ordinary killing moves. Is that so? In that case, why don't you make a move and show me? Baiju narrowed his eyes slightly, smiling coldly in his heart. He liked the arrogant Xiao Chen. Only Baiju knew how strong a foe god was. The more Xiao Chen underestimated him, the happier Baiju was. The more arrogant Xiao Chen was, the easier it was for him to reveal openings. Baiju's repeated attacks failed to severely injure Xiao Chen, which made him look forward to Xiao Chen revealing openings in his arrogance. As you wish. The immortal vein formed by immortal burial lake among Xiao Chen's 10 divine veins stirred. An ethereal, fairy-like air appeared on Xiao Chen's body. The vast soul energy sea in Xiao Chen's soul pool surged with strong waves. The divine lightning talisman formed by the immortal epic's 10,000 tribulation divine lightning broke out of the sea. Once upon a time, the divine lightning talisman could injure a great perfection sovereign emperor with just the tip of the iceberg. Now, Xiao Chen looked forward to seeing what kind of strength this divine lightning talisman could erupt with when it was completely brought out. This is. The expression of Baiju, who was waiting for Xiao Chen to reveal an opening, changed slightly. He sensed something strange. By the time Baiju sensed something wrong and wanted to dodge, it was already too late. The divine lightning talisman came out of Xiao Chen's forehead. With a flash of light, it struck Baiju. The instant the flower blooms, it illuminates 3 lives. Before the divine lightning talisman could take effect, Xiao Chen drew Heavenly Slayer and used the cycle Great Tao to execute the 3 life flower. The past, the future, and the present. 3 blue lotus flowers, 3 figures, and 3 saber lights pierced through Baiju, who was severely injured by the divine lightning talisman. However, this was not enough. Xiao Chen gritted his teeth and roared. Flowers bloom and flowers die, the cycle never ends. Previously, when Xiao Chen only grasped the state of cycle, he could execute 3 saber strikes with the 3 life flower. However, now he grasped the cycle Great Tao. There were more than 3 saber strikes for the past, the future, and the present. Flowers bloomed and withered, and killing intent filled the air, filling the entire world with a somber and cold killing intent. 1,000 lotus flowers bloomed around Baiju at the same time. 1,000 heavenly slayer sabers containing the heavenly Tao's killing intent pierced through his body at the same time. Today Xiao Chen wanted to kill a god. Chapter 2353. Flowers bloom and die. Reincarnation never ends. Xiao Chen first used the Thunder Divine Talisman to severely injure him. Then he used the Cycle Great Tao to activate the 3 life flower and sent out 3 saber strikes. 1 saber strike each pierced through Baiju. However, this was still not enough. If he wanted to slay a deity, he had to go all out without holding anything back. In the time it took for a spark to fly, he pushed the Cycle Great Tao and his saber Tao to their limits. Xiao Chen's divine energy and soul energy were instantly drained. After he finished executing the move, he was already exhausted. If he failed to kill Baiju, as long as Baiju was still breathing, he could easily crush him to death. Thousands of lotuses gradually overlapped with each other. Wisps of space-time ripples appeared around Baiju's body like water ripples. Xiao. When the 2 figures completely overlapped, Baiju coughed out a mouthful of blood. He looked at the wound on his chest in disbelief. In his world, only a second had passed. He only felt that Xiao Chen had swung his saber. He simply could not understand how his physical body could be struck by more than 1,000 sabers in an instant. The scariest thing was that every saber strike was lethal. Every saber strike contained a flawless saber intent that surpassed the epic and the inextinguishable power of the cycle of seasons, continuously attacking Xiao Chen's foe god flame. If he had not been careless and allowed the Thunderbolt Divine Talisman to be heavily injured, he would still have had strength to spare even if he had been pierced by 1,000 blades. However, at this moment, the resplendent golden foe god flame in Xiao Chen's soul pool was riddled with holes. Wave after wave of saber intent infused with the power of cycles surged at the dimmed foe god flame. No matter how he struggled, he could not salvage the situation. He could only watch as his foe god flame slowly weakened and slowly extinguished. I will kill you. Baiju's eyes were filled with despair. He roared and ran toward the exhausted Xiao Chen. At this moment he only had one thought, and that was to drag Xiao Chen down with him before he died. It was like the final radiance of a setting sun, and its divine might was vast and mighty as if it had returned to its peak. Xiao Chen's expression was relaxed as he looked at the other party indifferently. Boom! Baiju barely managed to take a step before his body exploded with a loud bang. A brilliant flame soared into the sky. The light from the flame shone in all directions, emitting a light even more dazzling than the sun. However, although this light was resplendent, it gave off the feeling of a hero past his prime and a beauty with white hair. A sorrow that even the heavens could not suppress filled the world and permeated everyone's hearts. This made the 2 sides fighting in Sun God Temple in the sky above and on the ground below all stare blankly, stopping their movements. This is, a foe god has fallen. Hua. Right after the 2 foe god realm experts spoke, the resplendent flame appeared. It turned into a blood-red color and exploded with a loud bang. Along with the dusky sky, a blood moon descended. How is this possible? The martial god palace's foe god expert showed a numb and sluggish expression. Although in this era, it was impossible to become a true god. However, As long as one ignited the divine flame and became a faux god expert, they would not suffer from disease or calamity. It was impossible for a faux god to die. Even if they encountered great trouble, faux gods would be able to protect themselves. But today, a virtual god had actually been killed. The Sun God Temple faux god realm expert looked at Xiao Chun, who was on the city wall. Shock filled his eyes. Clearly, he was startled as well. Whoosh! Whoosh! On the city wall, Xiao Chun had just collected Baiju's silver pagoda when two figures descended before him. The newcomers were the two faux god realm experts of the Heavenly Alliance, Swearenji and the previous alliance chief, Hua Tianyang. You killed this person? Although Swearenji did his best to suppress the fluctuations in his heart, he could not hide the shock on his face. Xiao Chun nodded. It was a fluke. If not for his carelessness, I would not have killed him. He was speaking the truth. If the other party had not received the divine lightning talisman head-on, he would have died. If the other party had not taken the divine lightning talisman head-on, even if Xiao Chun executed blooming flower destruction and endless cycle, he would not have been confident of killing the other party. Or rather, if the divine lightning talisman had not severely injured the other party, Xiao Chun would not have risked everything and forced himself into a desperate situation. In any case, an opportunity presented itself to Xiao Chun. Then he took the risk and succeeded in killing a true god. Hua Tianyang sighed softly. As he looked at the blood rain falling from the sky, he said in frustration, even a faux god fell. This era is really coming to an end. Swearenji and Hua Tianyang exchanged glances. Although they were not the ones who died, the two felt desolate and sorrowful. The era that belonged to them would eventually come to an end when the martial epic's luck ran out. Even as faux gods, they would not be able to avoid death. God-conferring pagoda? Hua Tianyang did his best to perk up. When he saw the silver pagoda in Xiao Chun's hand, he revealed a shocked expression. Xiao Chun stepped forward and handed the silver pagoda to the other party for him to observe. It really is the God-conferring pagoda. After fiddling with it for a while, Hua Tianyang smiled and said, this is a rare sealing-type soul treasure. It can be considered one of Bushin Palace's trump cards. There were offensive soul treasures, like the Heavenly Slayer saber in Xiao Chun's hand. There were also defensive soul treasures, like the alloy dragon armor Hua Tianyang wore. There were also offensive and defensive soul treasures, like Xi's blood dragon cloak. However, sealing-type soul treasures were very rare, extremely rare. Swearenji glanced at the Bushin Palace faux god who had already fled. After some thought he said, with this god-conferring pagoda, we can give it a try and see if we can't keep him here. Hua Tianyang handed the god-conferring pagoda to the other party and nodded. Try to keep him here. Whoosh! After receiving the god-conferring pagoda, Swearenji turned into a beam of black light and gave chase in the blink of an eye. A strange look flashed in Xiao Chun's eyes. What is the origin of this god-conferring pagoda? To think that Senior Swearenji is confident of using this pagoda to seal a faux god? Hua Tianyang thought for a while before replying. It can't really be considered an origin. However, in Swearenji's hands, it can indeed bring out greater might. We can give it a try. As Hua Tianyang spoke, a few figures flew over. They were Ao Jiao, Hao Kai, and the Solar Divine Temple faux god. Hua Tianyang recognized that faux god and introduced him to Xiao Chun. This is the Solar Divine Temple's high priest. He can be considered a veteran faux god. Many thanks to Alliance Chief Hua and little brother Xiao Chun for saving my Golden Crow Empire's calamity. After the high priest stepped forward, he immediately bowed to express his gratitude. He even gave Xiao Chun a few more glances. Clearly, the high priest had already learned of Xiao Chun's identity from Ao Jiao. After a simple exchange of pleasantries, Xiao Chun sent a voice projection to Hua Tianyang. Senior Hua, go ahead and discuss proper matters with the high priest first. Hua Tianyang glanced at Ao Jiao and entered deep thought. Then he smiled faintly and said, High priest, now that the Golden Crow Empire has thoroughly offended the Bushin Palace, my Heavenly Alliance is willing to protect the Golden Crow Empire with just one word from the high priest. The high priest hesitated somewhat. If he agreed, It would be equivalent to the Golden Crow Empire joining the Heavenly Alliance. Hua Tianyang smiled and said, High Priest, is it convenient for us to communicate in private? Sure. After the High Priest left, Ao Jiao relaxed visibly. Then she chided. You idiot, you scared me to death earlier. How could you face a foe god alone? Xiaochen felt warmth in his heart. He smiled but did not reply. You are still smiling? I will hit you. Seeing that Xiaochen only knew how to smile without replying, Ao Jiao pretended to be angry as she stretched out her hand to slap him. Who knew? Xiaochen did not dodge. Ao Jiao just stretched out her hand and touched Xiaochen's face. The atmosphere immediately turned somewhat strange. Hao Kai showed an awkward expression as he performed a cupped fist salute and said, Your Highness the Divine Daughter, I'll return first to deal with the follow-up matters of the Divine Temple. Ao Jiao pinched Xiaochen's cheek, blushing slightly. Then she turned her head to the side and said, Just this once. Got it. Xiaochen stretched out his hands and gently pinched Ao Jiao's cheeks as he smiled faintly. You. Clearly, Ao Jiao was caught off guard by Xiaochen's sudden attack. Her heart thumped wildly, and she asked only after a while, Why are you here in the Golden Crow Empire? I came to see you. However, I happened to run into this matter. Where's little yellow feather? Why don't I see it? Xiaochen appeared very natural. Back when he saw Shi Wangmu turn to dust, he had figured out many things. Treasure the people who love you and don't make them cry. At the mention of little yellow feather, Ao Jiao's expression recovered to normal. She said angrily, Those people from the Bushan Palace are too much of a bastard. To think that they want to capture little yellow feather and make it Qin Ming's divine pet. Little yellow feather is currently absorbing the ancestors' inheritance in the solar divine pool. When it comes out, I will definitely go with it to meet that dragon god crown prince. Coincidentally, I want to go as well. Let's meet up in the Divine Dragon Empire 5 days later. When Ao Jiao heard that, her expression changed slightly. She knew that Xiaochen would definitely go to the Divine Dragon Empire. However, based on Xiaochen's words, it seemed like he still had something to do and did not intend to go with her. You still have something to do? Xiaochen nodded. After some thought he said, With the Heavenly Alliance's protection, the Bushan Palace will not dare to seek trouble for the Golden Crow Empire. At that time, you can go with the seniors of the Golden Crow Empire. I will meet up with you on time. A reluctance to part appeared in Ao Jiao's heart. However, she understood Xiaochen the best. She knew that he would not change his mind once he made up his mind. Be careful. I'll wait for you. Ao Jiao said with a grave expression. I'll be fine. Xiaochen thought for a while. Now that he could even kill foe gods, going to the Starry Heavens Dragon Prison to rescue the previous generation Heaven Dragon should not be a problem. Chapter 2354. The Starry Heavens Dragon Prison locked up all the Divine Dragon Empire's sovereign personage and above criminals. It was deployed in the vast and boundless Starry Heavens. The vast Starry Sea was vast. The Starry Heavens Dragon Prison was like a beacon in the boundless Starry Heavens. Searching blindly was like searching for a needle in a haystack. Xiaochen once went there with the Heaven Dragon Palace's second palace master, and had some impression of it. Even so, it took 3 days for Xiaochen to find the Starry Heavens Dragon Prison. The vast Starry Heavens were boundless and boundless. Xiaochen stood on an asteroid the size of a city. When he looked around, he saw hundreds of thousands of asteroids of various sizes forming a vast and vast formation. In the depths, it was like standing in the middle of a boundless ocean, vast and boundless. Using the stars as the stones and the starry heavens as the foundation to lay this horrifying formation. As Xiaochen stood at the edge, he could clearly feel the vast and peerless pressure. When looking into the distance, he was horrified to discover dense essence and killing intent gathering at the center of the formation in the asteroid belt. Countless negative emotions and resentment intertwined and condensed into a terrifying human face. Thousands of faces struggled and twisted under the skin of the human face. Xiaochen recalled the first time he saw this. At that time his cultivation was too low, so he did not dare to look at it. Now that he looked at it again, it was less shocking, but that was all. Drip. Drip. The sound of water dripping came from the depths of the asteroid belt. Every time a drop landed, it made one's heart tremble and soul tremble. Xiaochen knew that this was the heaven dragon's heart blood continuously dripping. Closing his eyes, Xiaochen recalled the steps that the second palace master once took. With his current strength, he could definitely kill his way in without any fear. However, he was going to save someone, not to flaunt his strength. It would be pointless if he startled the heaven dragon and caused the heaven dragon's death. After a while, Xiaochen opened his eyes and gently leaped up, landing on an asteroid. The formation formed by thousands of asteroids immediately spun continuously, moving the might of the world. Even a sovereign emperor would have to be careful and not be careless. With a relaxed expression, Xiaochen followed the second palace master's footsteps in his memory and went deeper. The magnificent meteor formation revolved slowly without any ripples. After a while, Xiaochen was not far from the core of the formation. At the center of the formation, the distorted human face formed by endless killing intent, resentment, anger, and hatred grew clearer and clearer. It's still the same. Xiaochen sighed softly. The starry sky dragon penitentiary had not changed much since his last visit. His gaze pierced through the layers of fog. Under the distorted human face was a black dragon city that shone with a metallic luster. Draconic prison city. He had finally arrived. Xiaochen spread out his soul power and sensed the experts in the city. He was extremely cautious. In the center of Dragon City, on an altar, there was a pillar of heaven dragon that was as beautiful as fresh blood. On top of the dragon pillar, there was a long sword that exuded a chilly aura. This sword has an impressive background. Previously, Xiaochen had not noticed it. Now he could tell that this sword had many tricks up its sleeves. This sword stabbed into the heaven dragon pillar should be no weaker than the golden dragon race's emperor dragon sword. Xiaochen ignored this sword for now. Chains flickering with a dark light bound a petrified cultivator under the heaven dragon pillar. Even though that cultivator was petrified, his eyes still sparkled with vigor, filled with spirituality. The petrified cultivator was the previous generation heaven dragon, Jianghe's father. A fierce divine flame burned on the altar, making the heaven dragon pillar as hot as molten lava all year round. There was a sword wound on the petrified cultivator's chest. His heart blood dripped down continuously. The dragon pillar, which should have been fiery red, looked as beautiful as fresh blood after being watered with the heart blood. Even though Xiaochen had seen it once before, he still felt shocked when he saw it again. What a cruel method! The purple gold dragon emperor was truly deranged. However, what impressed Xiaochen even more was the special aura of the previous generation heaven dragon. That was a boldness that encompassed the entire dragon city. The dragon prison filled with sin and negative emotions could not make him sink into depravity. Xiaochen clearly suffered, but he did not show any rage or helplessness. After concealing his aura, Xiaochen perfectly merged into the dark space. Then he leaped off the meteor. Without startling anyone in the dragon city, Xiaochen silently landed on the altar without anyone noticing. Whoosh! Xiaochen felt the flame on the altar at close range. A surging heat wave surged over like a surging sea of fire. The surging dragon might contained within the flame surged over. What a fellow! Not only did this flame have a startling heat wave, but it could also invade a cultivator's soul. Xiaochen gently waved his sleeves and casually scattered the surging heat wave. Then he stabilized himself. Blue Dragon's descendant, we meet again. The previous generation heaven dragon's hoarse voice rang out in Xiaochen's mind. Clearly he was still alive. I'm here to save you. I already went to the Blue Dragon's old land and obtained the Blue Dragon's inheritance. I still have some questions that I want to ask you. While speaking to the previous generation heaven dragon, Xiaochen sized up the heaven dragon pillar and the surrounding seal. Xiaochen thought about how to break the seal and rescue Jianghe. Don't. There is an old monster here, a nine-veined sovereign emperor. He is even more horrifying than a faux god. Leave quickly. No matter how strong you are not a match for him in this starry heaven's dragon prison. Unexpectedly, the previous generation heaven dragon directly told Xiaochen to leave quickly. What a strange aura, both familiar and strange. Just as Xiaochen was about to speak, a black-clad old man suddenly appeared at the top of the heaven dragon pillar, where the black sword was stabbed. Suddenly, a black-robed old man appeared and muttered to himself. His voice was old and hoarse, like an ancient hourglass that was slowly flowing. Just as Xiao Chen was about to move, an overwhelming killing intent assaulted his entire body, sending a chill through him. An unprecedented danger, a killing intent that he had not felt even when facing Baiju, enveloped Xiao Chen. Retreat. Xiao Chen immediately made up his mind to retreat 500,000 kilometers away, leaving the Dragon City and landing in an asteroid belt. As the asteroid circled the Dragon City, Xiao Chen looked at the black-clad old man. Whoosh! Nearly the instant Xiao Chen landed on the asteroid and looked up, the black-clad old man drew the black sword stabbed into the dragon pillar. In the blink of an eye, the black-clad old man arrived before Xiao Chen. Then he did not hesitate to pierce Xiao Chen's heart. In the time it took for a spark to fly, a vast and boundless sword intent charged over at incredible speed. Dang! Xiao Chen did not even have time to think. He instantly drew Heavenly Slayer and blocked this sword. The saber and sword clashed, producing a loud sound. The horrifying impact knocked Xiao Chen back 50 kilometers. How strong! As Xiao Chen looked at the black-clad old man, he felt greatly startled. This black-clad old man was very strong, but the sword in his hand was even stronger. When Xiao Chen looked carefully, he was somewhat surprised to discover that this old man's eyes were empty. He was completely blind. Bang! The blind old man's wrist, which held the sword, shook gently, and an endless stream of black sword light swept out. Xiao Chen did not dare to be careless. He brought out his flawless saber down to its limits. He used the Mahamaya abstinence violation saber technique to clash with the other party, sending out many sword lights. This person before Xiao Chen was supported by a formation in this asteroid belt. Furthermore, that black sword contained an incredibly heavy, destructive sword intent. The pressure that it gave Xiao Chen surpassed that of Baiju's earlier pressure. In the blink of an eye, the two exchanged 100 moves. Xiao Chen relied on the Cycle Great Tao and the recovery ability of life and death to block the other party's attacks. Timing, geography, and people worked together. This created an unparalleled advantage for the blind old man. Coupled with the other party's experienced mental state, Xiao Chen could not find any openings. On the other hand, Xiao Chen revealed some openings several times amid the other party's surging attacks. Xiao Chen did not know whether the other party was overly suspicious or did not want to take risks, but he did not grasp these openings. While Xiao Chen felt lucky, he also felt some doubt. Go. I should not be a match for you outside. However, you are not a match for me in this starry heaven's dragon prison. A hoarse voice rang out. After the blind old man gained the upper hand, he tried to dissuade the other party. Sorry, since I'm already here, I do not intend to return empty-handed. Whoosh! A flash of electric light came from Xiao Chen's forehead, illuminating the eternally dark starry heaven's dragon prison. The divine lightning talisman appeared before the blind old man at a horrifying speed. The blind old man's expression changed slightly. He slowly raised his left hand, and the hundreds of thousands of meteors under his feet continuously gathered in his hand. As the meteors entered, the flow of time in front of him seemed to slow down. The explosive speed of the divine lightning talisman actually slowed down. Boom! When the divine lightning talisman finally arrived before the blind old man, a star chart made up of hundreds of thousands of meteors blocked the blind old man's path. In an instant, this star chart shattered. However, the divine lightning talismans might also decrease significantly, allowing the blind old man to block it with his sword. Xiao Chen frowned slightly. Given this, even if he executed flower blooming and flower extinguishing without stopping, he would not be able to kill the other party. Lord Dragon Sovereign, he is the Blue Dragon's descendant. He is Xiao Chen, the Xiao Chen that I once told you about. Just at this moment, a figure weaved through the shock waves generated by the two's exchange with great difficulty. This person rushed over with all his might, showing an anxious expression as he shouted at the blind old man. Xiao Chen looked around. When he saw that it was the Heaven Dragon Palace's first palace master, he was immediately shocked. The first palace master addressed this person as Lord Dragon Sovereign. Could this blind old man be the Shadow Dragon Sovereign? No wonder. No wonder this aura feels both familiar and strange. Blind old man greets Lord Blue Dragon King. When the black-clad old man heard the first palace master's words, his attitude changed drastically. He knelt down with his sword in hand and slammed it down heavily. Chapter 2355. Withdraw. The blind old man's sudden change in attitude startled Xiaochun. Then he quickly withdrew the divine lightning talisman into his forehead. Xiaochun flew forward and helped the blind old man up. The battle between the two rivaled that of foe gods, producing shockwaves and lingering mysterious phenomena. Even sovereign emperors had to tread carefully, like they were treading on thin ice. The first palace master put in a lot of effort before arriving beside the two. He first bowed to the blind old man before looking at Xiaochun with an extremely complicated expression. First palace master, receive Xiaochun's bow. When Xiaochun saw the first palace master again, all sorts of emotions welled up in his heart. Without much thought, Xiaochun directly knelt on the asteroid fragment and kowtowed heavily. It was hard to imagine how much danger the first palace master had taken back then. Xiaochun dared to save him from the hands of Ancestor Dragon City's people, while he could have died at any moment. There was no way Xiaochun could repay such kindness. Waves appeared in the blind old man's heart. Clearly, he was shocked by Xiaochun's actions. Despite Xiaochun's age and current strength, he did not put on any pretense before his benefactor. I can't accept this. I can't. The first palace master was startled as well. He quickly helped Xiaochun up and smiled. There is no need to be so polite. Ha ha ha. I've been living quite well over the years. Xiaochun stood up. However, he had thought things through. Back in the Heaven Dragon Palace, the first palace master had taken good care of Xiaochun. The first palace master took good care of the first palace master. He could be said to be half a master, forever a senior. Even if the first palace master had not risked his life to save Xiaochun in Divine Dragon City, he should have maintained a respectful heart. Later, Xiaochun heard from the third palace master that he had been locked up for 100 years. Unexpectedly, he was locked up in the Starry Heavens Dragon Prison, a place akin to hell on earth. If the first palace master had known, he would have risked his life to save Xiaochun long ago. Now that Xiaochun thought about it, the third palace master must have known about Xiaochun's temper. The third palace master did not dare to tell Xiaochun the truth, so that Xiaochun would feel less guilty and cultivate in peace. The first palace master smiled and said, Lord Dragon Sovereign took care of me in the starry heavenly dragon prison, so I did not suffer much. Xiaochun, let me introduce you. This is the Divine Dragon Empire's Shadow Dragon Sovereign. After something happened to you, the Blood Dragon Guards secretly escorted you out of the Divine Dragon Empire. This was Lord Dragon Sovereign's order. Thank you, Senior, for helping me back then. The blind old man waved his hand and said, Blue Dragon King, you are being too polite. Back then, the Blood-Soaked Dragon Emperor created our Blood Dragon Guards. From the moment it was established, it obeyed only the Blue Dragon bloodline. After the Blue Dragon bloodline was destroyed, it became loyal only to the Divine Dragon Empire. I will not respect the Purple Gold Dragon Emperor, and wait for the Blue Dragon's descendant to appear. Now that the Blue Dragon King has appeared, I know your orders. Xiaochun came to a sudden realization. So that was how it was. It was similar to what he had thought back then. The Blood Dragon Guards were indeed the backup that the Blood-Soaked Dragon Emperor left behind, a secret force that helped the Blue Dragon bloodline rise. Lord Dragon Sovereign, what do you mean by the Blue Dragon King? The first palace master listened very carefully. From the start to the end, the Shadow Dragon Sovereign addressed Xiaochun as the Blue Dragon King. The blind old man nodded and said, Milord has the royal bloodline of the Blue Dragon bloodline. It is the royal Blue Dragon bloodline acknowledged by the ancient dragon god for a long time. If I guessed right, Lord Blue Dragon King must have obtained the royal genealogical record and added his true name in it. The first palace master asked excitedly, Xiaochun, is this true? Xiaochun nodded and said, Senior Dragon Sovereign is right. I have indeed obtained the royal genealogical record. After I saved the Heaven Dragon, I will be going to the Divine Dragon Empire. At the same time, Xiao Chun gave a detailed explanation of the Purple Gold Dragon Emperor's plot to abdicate the throne to Qin Ming. Humph. The Bushan Palace has always been the Holy Lord's pawn, and this Purple Gold Dragon Emperor has always been the Holy Lord's lackey. In the past, everyone held back because they were not a match for him, unable to resist the Bushan Palace. Now that Lord Blue Dragon King has brought the royal genealogical record, my Blood Dragon Guards will definitely do our best to protect him. The blind old man snorted coldly. Clearly, he had long been dissatisfied with the Purple Gold Dragon Emperor. From the blind old man's words, it was clear that the Blue Dragon bloodline was no longer around. He was only loyal to the Divine Dragon Empire, and never truly trusted the Purple Gold Dragon Emperor. Xiao Chun rejoiced in his heart. With the Shadow Dragon Sovereign's help and the first Palace Master's rallying power among the mixed blood dragons, he would not have to worry about anything on this trip. With Wang Zhe's genealogical record and the Heavenly Alliance's support, he would not have to worry about anything on this trip. Lord Dragon Sovereign, what is the origin of the sword in your hand? Xiao Chun could not help asking as he glanced at the black sword. The blind old man explained, "This is the Black Dragon King's sword, the God-killing sword. The blood-soaked Dragon Emperor bestowed it to the Blood Dragon Guards and passed it down to me. I can only bring out less than 1% of its might. If I unleashed all of its power, even I would be devoured. Less than 1% of its might was already so horrifying." It turned out that it was the Black Dragon King's God-killing sword. After a pause, the blind old man continued, "However, the saber in your hand has a great origin as well. I feel that you have not brought out the full might of this saber, either." Xiao Chun felt startled. Although this Lord Dragon Sovereign was blind, he was not blind. Although this Lord Dragon Sovereign was blind, his ability to see through everything was hundreds, or even thousands of times more powerful than that of some people with good eyesight. The true might of Heavenly Slayer could only be brought out when it perfectly merged with the Heavenly Tao-killing formation. "Senior, can you let out Senior Heaven Dragon?" After chatting idly, Xiao Chun got to the point. Most of the people locked up here are dragon race traders, or people who committed heinous crimes. However, the previous generation Heaven Dragon is not one of them. Naturally, this old man will obey the Blue Dragon King's orders. Whoosh, whoosh. The two followed the blind old man. With a few flashes, they arrived at the Dragon City and stood before the Heaven Dragon Pillar. The blind old man ferociously swung the God-killing sword in his hand, sweeping away the divine flame on the altar. Dang, dang, dang. A few more sword lights flashed. Ding, ding, dang. The chains binding the Heaven Dragon all shattered. I can undo these seals. However, I cannot remove the curse that the Purple Gold Dragon Emperor left on the Heaven Dragon's physical body. The so-called curse should be the petrified physical body of the Heaven Dragon. Let me take a look. Xiao Chun arrived beside the Heaven Dragon and reached into the Heaven Dragon's body. Then he frowned slightly. The previous generation Heaven Dragon sighed. It should be very difficult to deal with, right? This is a curse secret technique that the Holy Lord taught him. It is activated with a soul treasure. Back then, if not for this curse, how could the Purple Gold Dragon Emperor defeat me? After withdrawing his hand, Xiao Chun did not rush to return. After some thought he asked, "Back then, why did you fight with the Purple Gold Dragon Emperor?" "I don't believe it was for the Dragon Emperor position." The blind old man replied. He went to the Blue Dragon's old land and learned that the Golden Dragon bloodline is just the Holy Lord's lackey. In his impulse, he wanted to change the situation by himself. The first Palace Master sighed softly. "Back then, I advised him to endure and not do anything. There is no need to mention the past." "Thank you." The Heaven Dragon smiled faintly, not regretting his hot-bloodedness back then, which resulted in decades of torture. "Have you thought about Jiang He?" Xiao Chun suddenly said. "After you left, he must have suffered a great grievance." When he was unconscious in the ethereal immortal palace, he kept calling out your name, continuously asking why you did not tell him. I feel that he should not mind the grievance and pain he suffered all these years. He only minded his father not telling him. Jiang He. At the mention of Jiang He, the previous generation Heaven Dragon could not control his emotions. A tear leaked out of his petrified body. "Let me help you remove the curse." Without saying anything more, Xiaochen landed a palm strike on the Heaven Dragon's petrified body. The cycle Great Tao circulated, and life and death cycled. A vast and boundless life force poured into the Heaven Dragon's body, slowly battering the curse seed in it. "This is?" The blind old man felt startled. Xiaochen was going to use force to break the curse, directly using the boundless life force to destroy the curse's root. However, such a method required an extremely vast amount of life force. Could it be that Xiaochen is going to use his life origin energy to help remove the curse? No, this is the cycle Great Tao. When the blind old man recalled Xiaochen's horrifying recovery ability when he fought him, he came to a realization. Even so, it still required a vast amount of divine energy and a long time. "Blue Dragon King, I'll help you." The blind old man took a step forward, and the dense divine energy in his body entered Xiaochen's body without hesitation. "Many thanks." With the Shadow Dragon Sovereign's help, Xiaochen's efficiency immediately increased significantly. The Heaven Dragon's petrified lower body slowly turned illusory. In just a moment, it recovered its physical body. Xiaochen persisted. An hour later, the Heaven Dragon's physical body was completely restored. Crack! Xiaochen used his boundless life force to forcefully destroy the curse's root in the Heaven Dragon's body. The Heaven Dragon was incredibly excited, showing a spirited expression. He wished he could raise his head to the sky and roar. After so many years, he finally regained his freedom. "Congratulations, Senior." Xiaochen smiled faintly. He believed that He would feel gratified to see his father return in the Divine Dragon Empire. After some thought, the blind old man said, "Everyone, rest first. Wait for me to make arrangements. We will return to the Divine Dragon Empire 2 days later. I want to see how the Purple Gold Dragon Emperor will pass his throne to Qin Ming." Now that everything was ready, all they needed to do was wait, and they could charge back to the Divine Dragon Empire. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.